Chicago Bears. Steve Courtney, Sean Baligian talking about it and what went down in college football yesterday in East Lansing, as you heard here on WJR. Let's review. The fourth-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes come in after having missed the previous week's game against the Fighting Illini with COVID. 23 players were out, including 3 starting offensive linemen and a starting linebacker. They did have Justin Fields, though. That's one of the main reasons they take care of the Spartans, 52-12. Sean, Justin Fields, 17-24, 199 yards, and 2 scores in the air, 13 carries, 104 yards on the ground, 2 more touchdowns. The kid's phenomenal.
He really is. You know, Steve, just one man's opinion, I think right now, he or Kyle Trask in Florida are 2 guys that you have to look at for the Highsmith. Look, Ohio State's on a different plane than everybody else in the Big Ten, and I think the sooner that we all accept that, the better off that we will be. You know, a few years back, of course, Coach D'Antonio had an opportunity to beat them not once, but twice. The only guy to do it since the Urban Meyer era took over, and that, of course, led to Coach Day. But, Steve, they are really a machine right now. There's no other way to say that.
Sadly, Rocky Lombardi, quarterback, gets hurt in the second quarter. Peyton Thorne comes on, represents himself well, 16-25, 147 yards, 1 pick. He had 9 carries, 42 yards, and a touchdown, a nice 20-yard scamper in the third quarter. Michigan State's offense, when it comes to third down efficiency, quite frankly, they weren't efficient. 3 of 17, 4 more turnovers, and all that does is put a lot of stress on the defense. Mel Tucker, unhappy. Up next will be a road visit to Happy Valley to face Penn State. They might have found themselves. They take care of Rutgers 23-7 yesterday. Penn State now 2-5. On to Michigan we go. They were supposed to host Maryland. That game canceled due to COVID-19. They are supposed to be in Columbus to face Ohio State noon on Saturday. Sean, let the banter begin.
Yeah, you know what? It's still the game. I'm a firm believer in that. It's still the game. Has it lost a heck of a lot of luster? Absolutely it has. But I think one of the beautiful things about college football, Steve, is tradition. And I know what a fan of tradition you are.
You bet.
It's still Ohio State, Michigan. I know it's been one-sided. It's been lopsided. There have been talk about hanging 100 on Michigan for about 6 months now, but it's still Michigan and Ohio State.
Elsewhere in the Big Ten, number 12, Indiana. Tom Allen, their fine head coach, has these lads believing in themselves. They go to Madison, knock off Wisconsin 14-6. Elsewhere, number 19, Iowa. They improved to 5-2 with a 35-21 win over Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. Number 14, Northwestern. They're 5-1. They're on top of the Big Ten West. Their tilt in Minnesota was canceled. Top 25 we go. Can anybody beat Alabama? The top-ranked team in the country, 55-17 win over LSU. The defending national champ goes to 3-5. Alabama improves to 9-0. The most points they've ever put up on LSU. How about that?
And let me tell you this, Steve. If you were watching that game, he called off the dogs at halftime. I mean, honestly, I was thinking they might put up 70-some-odd points. He called off the dogs big time. That score was not indicative of how ugly that game was.
Number 2, Notre Dame improves to 10-0 with a 45-21 win over Syracuse. Number 3, Clemson, no problem at Va-Tech. They win it 45-10. Trevor Lawrence, 12 of 22, 195 yards and a touchdown. Number 5, Texas A&M. They continue to be in the national conversation. They knock off Auburn 31-20. How about this? Number 6, Florida. They beat Tennessee 31-19. The Gators now 8-1. Sean, they're going to meet Alabama in the SEC title game. How do you see that one shaken out?
Well, you know what? Kyle Trask has had a really good year, had another monster game yesterday, but they just don't have the offense to hang with Alabama, simply put. I think they'll get some. They'll get theirs, but not enough. I mean, Alabama's offense right now is just on 2 different levels than seemingly everybody else.
MAC results, how about this for a shocker? Eastern Michigan goes to Kalamazoo. They upend Western Michigan 53-42. Eastern goes to 1-4. Western now 4-1. And Ball State, they go to Mount Pleasant, have their way with Central Michigan 45-20. The Chippewas now 3-2. Ball State improves to 4-1. How about that?
Steve, I had a chance to work in the MAC for a few years, and never be surprised in the MAC. There's just something in the water in MAC country. You can't take anybody for granted. Somebody will come up and bite you in the behind. I saw it week after week. It continues to this day.
Meanwhile, we're getting to crunch time as far as fantasy football goes. Got to have your rosters in if you're looking for some guidance. Here's my partner, Sean.
Here's the Fantasy Football Report. Brought to you by Hungry Howie's. Now get any 2 items from the Mix and Match menu for just $5.99 each. That's Hungry Howie's. Here's Sean Baligian.
I think everybody knows what Mitch Trubisky has done against the Lions. Let me ask you this, especially at this point in time in the season. Do you trust Mitch Trubisky as your starting quarterback? Yeah, neither do I. And it's interesting because I think they know what Mitch Trubisky has had success against and what he hasn't had success against. So I would proceed with caution certainly there. As a matter of fact, I'd put a proceed with caution on this entire offense right now. Their best receiver, Allen Robinson, of course, is questionable. I don't expect a whole heck of a lot of points in this one as a whole. And I think the same thing can be said for the Lions. Now, might they open it up a little bit more? Well, sure they might. But what are they going to open it up with? I'd feel a heck of a lot better if Kenny Golladay was in there. Kenny Golladay is not in there. So how are they going to utilize the pieces that they have in place? Now, I'll say it again. I've been saying this all year. I think TJ Hawkinson is a darn good candidate week in, week out, especially in those tight and must-start formats. But the rest of it, it's a little iffy. Let's be honest. The running game in particular is very iffy. Look, we don't know who's going to go, how much they're going to go, what the distribution is going to be. If you like field goals, this could be one of those games. I think Matt Prater might be a good start in a week like this because I really feel that points are going to be at a premium. 2 offenses that have some question marks are struggling in various capacities. I'm not so sure if there's a fantasy play here this week. Best of luck to you this week. I know the playoffs are looming. I'm Sean Baligian, and this is your Fantasy Football Report.
It's time for another page of the NFL Notebook. Brought to you by Bill Brown Ford. Who's your Ford dealer? Here's Steve Courtney.
I'll just say this. If I didn't have such a rotten singing voice, I'd be singing Home for the Holidays because it has everything to do with what we're going to discuss here. Days after they were blindsided by the announcement from Santa Clara County that contact sports are banned for the next 3 weeks, the San Francisco 49ers have officially decided to move their entire football operation to Arizona for at least the duration of those restrictions. Not exactly sure how long those will be. Now, this past Wednesday, the 49ers flew to Phoenix. Once there, the team set up their shop at the Renaissance Hotel close to the Cardinals practice fields and State Farm Stadium there in beautiful Glendale. That will be the 49ers home through at least December 21st at 5 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, which is when the current Santa Clara County restrictions are set to expire. Though the Niners are also prepared for a scenario where they're going to be extended and the team will have to stay in the desert for the rest of the regular season. Now, the 49ers began practicing this past Thursday with sessions also on Friday as well as Saturday, leading into their Monday night tilt against the Buffalo Bills. Now, before settling on Arizona, it should be pointed out, and by golly, I'll do that right now, there was a contingency that the 49ers and the National Football League had discussed well before the season began. The Niners did what they could to find a more local option. Their initial preference was to find a Bay Area county nearby where they could practice and then fly to their home, if you will, their home games in Arizona and return. No such luck there. Now, while head coach Shanahan said he and the 49ers are prepared for bumps along the way in their move, he is remaining hopeful that they will be able to spend Christmas with their families, either in Arizona or back in the Bay Area. But what a year it has been, dealing with COVID, obviously, and now here we have a franchise that has been beleaguered by injuries, no doubt about it. Went to the Super Bowl a year ago, for crying out loud, and now they're struggling to find a place to play. It has been absolutely insane. So the Arizona 49ers, we'll see how long that lasts. That's NFL Notebook. I'm Steve Courtney.
For a roundup of the Lions' NFC North rivals, here's Exploring the North with Chris Renwick.
After Nick Foles took over for Mitch Trubisky back in Week 3, the organization was hoping that Foles and the receiving corps could get on the same page in a hurry. Now, after 9 weeks on the bench, Trubisky's back under center and has to quickly try to rebuild that chemistry with his playmakers. Receiver Allen Robinson says they got back into it pretty quick.
No, I feel like it came back right away. Again, my expectations is always to go out there and play well, and to have success and help the team win. I think that's the biggest thing, again. High expectations, of course. Again, I think that for us, we have a very good opportunity ahead of us, So, again, I have high expectations for us.
Kickoff for Lions Bears coming your way in just a bit. It was a self-described weird week for Vikings wideout Adam Thielen, who was put on the COVID list last week. And because of that, Thielen obviously couldn't play, but he also couldn't be at the stadium or any other team facility. Thielen says it was a strange situation because he's a Minnesota native and he grew up in the state and has been a big fan of the team his whole life. So he's used to cheering on for the team in purple. He says he was a little more invested watching his team this time around.
It definitely has a little different meaning when it's like, your brother's out there playing. So definitely not as passionate, but definitely, obviously I love watching the team and grew up a fan. But when your brothers out there, the guys you fight with every day, coaches, all that you spend so much time with and that you care about so much, it means a little bit more to you. And it was definitely nerve-wracking and it was just a weird experience.
Minnesota's got a date with Jacksonville this afternoon. Kickoff for that one coming up at 1 o'clock. Meanwhile, the Packers continue to lead the way in the division, ho-hum, and they've hit a sweet spot in their schedule that they think will only help them in the long run. After last week's win against Chicago at Lambeau, 3 of their last 5 games will be played at home. Head coach Matt LaFleur says, even without the help of the fans, this is huge for his guys.
I think the guys are comfortable in their routine at home and just the wear and tear of the travel can fatigue it. So there's definitely an added benefit, especially we embrace this type of weather at this time of the year where it's cold and hopefully a little bit windy. But I think that's definitely a benefit.
Green Bay will host a Philly team who's won only 1 road game this season this afternoon. Kickoff for that one set for 4:25. That's Exploring the North. I'm Chris Renwick.
Now let's go around the league. Here's Michael Stets.
On Friday, the NFL released a new round of COVID-19 protocol updates with a focus on the beginning of each week. Per the new memorandum, in-person meetings, whether player coach, coaches only, or staff only meetings, will now be prohibited on the 2 days following a game. Coaches can enter the facility if they are working alone in their office. Players can enter the facilities for medical treatment or enter the facilities to use the weight room or practice fields for recovery, provided these areas are also under video surveillance. Locker rooms and cafeterias must remain closed, and clubs may provide grab-and-go meal options only. Teams playing on a short week will be exempt from this new requirement. In addition to that change, the league has eliminated the 62-player limit on traveling parties effective Week 13. All players on the sideline on game day must remain distant and wear their tracking devices and PPE at all times. In connection with this change, all players who will be on the sideline on game day are required to stay at the team hotel the night before the game.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
The 11-0 Pittsburgh Steelers lost one of their best defensive players during their win over Baltimore on Wednesday. Linebacker Bud Dupree suffered a torn ACL and was placed on injured reserve on Thursday. Dupree was having an outstanding season, recording 31 tackles, 8 sacks, 15 quarterback hits, and 2 forced fumbles before his injury. Entering the lineup for the injured Dupree will be third-round rookie Alex Highsmith. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin said he's excited to watch Highsmith gain some experience in the coming weeks.
I'm just as comfortable and confident as I was in Robert Spillane when we called upon him, or Kevin Dotson when we called upon him on the other side of the ball. That's life in this business. And so those guys work behind the scenes every day very diligently, preparing themselves for these opportunities, not only in terms of knowing what to do, but just preparing themselves in terms of conditioning for when we ring their bell. And we are ringing Alex Highsmith's bell now, so it'll be exciting to watch him respond to it, but it'll also be exciting to watch his growth, because growth is associated with experience. And no doubt in the upcoming weeks, he's going to be gaining a lot of that.
The undefeated Steelers host a 4-7 Washington football team this afternoon.
The Cleveland Browns.
A huge AFC matchup taking place today. The Browns traveling to Nashville to take on the Titans. Both teams sit at 8-3, both teams with big-time rushing attacks on offense. The Titans with Derrick Henry, who leads the NFL with 1,257 rushing yards. The Browns with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, both in the top 10 with over 700 yards rushing each. Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield acknowledged the attention that the backs are getting for this game, but warned it will take more than just running the ball to come out with a W.
I know everybody's going to want to say it's all about these running backs. The three of them, they're extremely special. Do not get me wrong. But this is a great game, great teams that it's going to be all three phases against each other. We're going to have to play complementary football and play as a team to win this game. And so it's going to be a physical one. We said our identity on offense starts in the run game, and we know that. So that's what we're worried about.
That's this week's Around the League. I'm Michael Stetz.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Folks, don't go anywhere. In my possession, the Lions injury report. We'll have that coming up, and our conversation with Tori Petrie from DetroitLions.com. This is Lions Radio. Want to join in on the Lions game action from the comfort of your own home? Now's your chance with Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM, available on the Detroit Lions app. Join in on the predicted game and be eligible to win cash prizes and future all-expenses-paid trips. For more games and Lions content, download the Lions mobile app today. Available on both iOS and Android. Go Lions!
Michigan State basketball travels to 15th-ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR. Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app on your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk.
Hey, Lions fans, want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
Make sure you visit DetroitLions.com for the latest Lions news, analysis, access, and more. Lions insider Tim Twentyman, along with Lions columnist Mike O'Hara, break down every aspect of today's game and the Lions' next opponent. That's only at the official online home of your Lions, DetroitLions.com.
Paul W. Smith Mornings.
For regular celebrities, there are two terrible days. There's the first day when they go out, and everywhere they go, as they walk around, there are cameras shooting pictures of them. And the second worst day, that's even worse than the first day, is when they go out and there's no one there. And let's face it, that is the truth.
Listen to Paul W. Smith. Then stick around for Frank Beckman, Rush Limbaugh, Guy Gordon, and Mitch Albom. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR. The 25K Workday Payday on WJR is your shot at $100 10 times each weekday between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just text the national keyword to 95819 for a chance to win. And if you get $100, you're in the running for 25K. Complete details and contest rules at WJR.com. The 25K Workday Payday on 760 WJR is sponsored by Wayne State University, where you're more than strong. You're warrior strong.
Pizza with flavored crust that's so famous for flavor, their motto is famous for flavor. And a meal deal fit for any family starting at just $5.99. Taste it in 4D today. Hungry?
Howie's! Lions Radio 760 WJR.
Well, indeed, Darrell Bevell will be making his head coaching debut in the National Football League for the Lions, and he will have a banged-up club. This injury report is brought to you by the Henry Ford Health System, the official healthcare provider of the Detroit Lions. Call 1-800-HENRY-FORD or visit henryford.com/teamdocs. All right, here we go. Wide receiver Kenny Golladay, he is out, as is defensive lineman Deshaun Hand and cornerback Jeff Okudah. Up there on the defensive line, Austin Bryant battling a bad thigh. Limited practice on Friday. He is listed as doubtful. Ditto for running back Deandre Swift. He has cleared, by the way, concussion protocol. He is now on the injury report because of illness, which is probably a side effect of a concussion. I don't know. DeAndre is doubtful. Safety, Tracy Walker. He was not on the injury list because of injury. He wasn't listed at all, but no practice on Friday. He is questionable. Good news, wide receiver Danny Amendola should make his way back into the lineup. And how about this? The fine tight end, Hunter Bryant, who signed as an undrafted rookie out of Washington, has yet to play this season because of various injuries. He had a full practice on Thursday and Friday. We may see Hunter Bryant in his Lions debut today. So there you go. Right now, we turn our attention to our friend Tori Petrie, DetroitLions.com. And Tori, we were discussing earlier, myself and Sean, Darrell Bevell making his head coaching debut in the National Football League. And quite frankly, via his Zoom calls, Tori, he's been a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I'm so happy for Darrell Bevell. Just a great guy, great person. And this is a really exciting opportunity for him. Guys get into coaching because they want to do it at the highest level. And he hasn't gotten that opportunity yet. And he has that chance starting today. So good for him. Happy for him. It's been fun to see him kind of bring his own flavor to the role, which is, what you got to do when you are an interim head coach. You're taking over kind of mid-season, and things went the way they did because, something wasn't working. So you got to bring your own flavor to the role. And it's clear that he has done that this week, and it's been fun to watch.
You know what? It's interesting, Tori, that you say flavor, because it really what personality. I mean, use whatever term that you'd like. You've seen more personality, and no disrespect to the previous regime, but it seems like it's been more fun. Has that been your take?
Well, that is something that Darrell Bevell has specifically said, is that he wants his guys to have fun. He said, he doesn't feel like working hard and having fun are two separate things. He said they've always worked hard. I trust them to work hard. I just want to see them enjoy the game, enjoy these last 5 games of the season. So that's been a specific goal of his. Different players have said this week that they've played music all throughout practice to kind of amp up the energy and things like that. So just little things like that have been part of what Darrell Bevell's been trying to do.
Tori, you go back back to the opener. The Lions held a 23-6 lead at the end of the third quarter. We know how it turned out. Also, the rookie running back, Deandre Swift, if he catches that pass late, Lions win. He was probably looking forward to a little revenge against the Chicago Bears. But, you know, Tori, this Deandre Swift situation has been so interesting. He has cleared concussion protocol. However, he has missed practice of late due to illness. A head scratcher.
Yeah, it definitely is unfortunate for the rookie. I mean, he had a breakout game, and then the week after that, he gets the concussion and, you know, isn't able to practice for a little bit. So unfortunately, that has been the case for Deandre Swift. I know he would have loved to get back out there on the field and you know, go against Chicago, especially after how that game went for him, you know, the first go around. But he was listed as doubtful, downgraded to doubtful over the weekend. So we'll see what ends up happening, but usually when they have to downgrade guys, that's not a good sign, and we definitely hope that Deandre gets well soon.
You know, so often, Tori, we talk from the Lions' perspective, as we should here in Detroit, but for the Bears, they've got to be looking at this game as a way to turn around their season. Hey, look, I mean, they started out better than anybody thought, especially that first game, and it's really turned into a disaster, and it sounds like they're kind of expecting the unexpected going into this one.
Yeah, I mean, we've said that about a lot of games this season is, hey, this is a team that the Lions could turn their season around against. But it's also a game where the opponent is thinking the same thing about the Lions because they've seen the Lions have to go through a coaching change. This is their first game under an interim head coach. They look at this and say, hey, we could beat this team. And, you know, so the Bears are coming into this with the same mindset. They were 5-1 to start the season, then haven't won a game since week 6. They've really gone downhill since the beginning of the season. They're not the same team that the Lions played in week 1. So, you know, both teams are thinking the same thing, but it really comes down to what happens on the field today and whether, you know, Darrell Bevell and his team were able to make enough changes during the week and create a good enough game plan to be able to get the better of Chicago today.
All right, Tori, appreciate your time. Thank you for that. Before we let you go, how do you think your Gators will do against Alabama in that SEC championship game?
Oh, man. Guys, I'm so excited for the SEC championship game. I'm a little nervous. You know, I'm getting all the notifications on my phone this morning like, oh, has Alabama secured their spot in the college football playoff? I'm like, wait. They still got to play us. But, you know, we'll see what happens. Obviously, our defense needs to show up if we're going to win that one.
Well said. Tori, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Tori Petrie, DetroitLions.com. Steve Courtney, Sean Baligian with you here in Lions Radio Central. Oh, we're counting you down to the Lions and Bears. More information coming your way. This is Lions Radio.
The 25K Workday Payday on WJR is your shot at $100 10 times each weekday between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just text the national keyword to 95819 for a chance to win. And if you get $100, you're in the running for 25K. Complete details and contest rules at WJR.com. The 25K Workday Payday on 760 WJR is sponsored by Wayne State University, where you're more than strong, you're warrior strong. After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Paul W. Smith Mornings.
For regular celebrities, there are 2 terrible days. There's the first day when they go out and everywhere they go, as they walk around, there are cameras shooting pictures of them. And the second worst day, it's even worse than the first day, is when they go out and there's no one there. And let's face it, that is the truth.
Listen to Paul W. Smith. Then stick around for Frank Beckman, Rush Limbaugh, Guy Gordon, and Mitch Albom. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR.
Want to join in on the Lions game action from the comfort of your own home? Now's your chance with Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM. Available on the Detroit Lions app. Join in on the predictive game and be eligible to win cash prizes and future all-expenses-paid trips. For more games and Lions content, download the Lions mobile app today. Available on both iOS and Android. Go Lions!
Hey, Lions fans. Want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
Make sure you visit DetroitLions.com for the latest Lions news, analysis, access, and more. Lions insider Tim Twentyman, along with Lions columnist Mike O'Hara, break down every aspect of today's game and the Lions' next opponent. That's only at the official online home of your Lions, DetroitLions.com.
Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app on your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Michigan State basketball travels to 15th-ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR.
For a certified pre-owned vehicle, their service doesn't end at the sale. It begins there. That's why customers keep coming back to Bill Brown Ford in Livonia. So, who's your Ford dealer?
News Talk 760 WJR.
The Sam Bernstein Law Firm is the official legal team of the Detroit Lions Radio Network, Michigan's first family of law. 1-800-CALL-SAM. Time now to get the perspective of the opponent. Our own Michael Stutz had a sit-down with the fine radio color analyst of the Bears. His name's Tom Thayer. Michael?
We head to the opposing sideline now to get a closer look at today's opponent. We bring on color analyst of the Bears Radio Network, Tom Thayer. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Bears now 5-6, 5-game losing streak. Who is most at fault for this bad run here this past few weeks for the Bears?
Wow, that is a great question. I think there's a lot of involvement. I think it's, did they make too early of a decision at the beginning of the season to replace Mitchell Trubisky? Then were they kind of falsely thinking that Nick Foles has progressed a little bit further along in this offense than, into the shortened pandemic preseason, into the early portion of the season? So I don't know. There's been some decisions that have come back to haunt the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky initially at the beginning of the season didn't play up to his expectations. And then I think when Nick was inserted, he didn't play up to the expectations the coaches had for him. So I'm not blaming anything on the quarterback position, but the most dysfunctional position since this season has gone on, it has been the quarterback position.
If it was up to you, who gets the nod, Foles or Trubisky?
Before the season started, well documented, I've always been in Mitchell Trubisky's camp. But I'm also old enough to remember that you had to build in time for development of a quarterback. And I know this is year 4 for Mitchell Trubisky, but I was here during the Steve Young era. Through BYU, I played in the USFL when Steve did, and I was playing for the Bears when he played for Tampa. And I saw his growth process and how dysfunctional it was until he became a Hall of Famer in the San Francisco system. So getting back to the original question, I've always been in Mitch's camp and try to develop his athleticism and his leg threat as much as his ability to improve his performance throwing the ball downfield.
Matt Nagy was very outspoken earlier in the week, kind of gave me the vibe he was trying to rally the troops, saying, have some personal pride. He talked about, the defense not being acceptable last week against the Packers. I'm wondering, how much do you think that resonates in the locker room, especially from you, a former player?
Well, I think, the psychological part of that, I think you can always be a little harsher on the defense than you can a struggling offense because, hey, man, the defense has played playoff caliber football since the beginning of the year. And so I think when you can challenge that group of personalities, Khalil and Roquan, Danny Trevathan and Akeem Hicks and those types of guys, and I think they understand how to take the message and hopefully improve along with it because they didn't play very good. But last week, Akeem Hicks didn't play. And Akeem Hicks it's a lot different with him not in the game, the defensive linemen or the offensive linemen, they have to concentrate and dedicate a sincere double team to Akeem Hicks, and it allows the linebackers to run with a little bit more freedom. So with no Akeem Hicks, go look at the stats. The inside linebackers really, they did not contribute at their normal level that they usually do when he does play. So I think Nagy's challenge was a good one. I think it opened a lot of eyes around here. It was good for the general public and the press to hear. Well, now we'll see Sunday. How well do they tackle? How well do they concentrate on, proper fundamentals rather than trying to strip the ball, make the tackle first?
And Nagy's he's 5-0 against the Lions. If he loses this week, do you think he starts to get on the hot seat? You think there's a little pressure ratcheting up for him?
I think it depends on how they lose. If they go out there and the defense is, an embarrassment where they didn't upgrade their level of play, concentration, and results, if Mitchell Trubisky is still thrown into double and triple coverage and he's not heeding the advice of Bill Lazor, John DeFilippo, Dave Ragone, Matt Nagy, all the guys up in the quarterback room, then I think there's an issue of concern. I don't want it to go that way. I like to keep everything in place and try to get organized to where you're going to be better next year. So I'm not pulling for that, but it's obviously it's going to be a concern, and it's going to be, locally and nationally media-wise spoken about because of, losing 6 in a row or whatever it would be is, it's hard to overcome, and it's hard to see where the positive is in all that.
Right on. And the matchup itself against the Lions, a lot of changes in the front office. Darrell Bevell takes over. Do you expect to see an inspired Lions offense? And also, from your experience as a player, looking at when a new coach comes in or the changes that the other team has to expect in a game like that.
Oh, I do. I think Darrell would. Darrell interviewed for the Bears job a couple of years ago, the head job when they hired Mark Trestman. So, he's been on the radar or in their sights for a long time. We all know what a good coach he is. So when you put a guy like Darrell Bevell in place and you have a quarterback with the talent of Matthew Stafford, I think the invitation is there is, man, he might throw it 50 times. And, that's a great way to fatigue a pass rush. It's a great way to, take advantage of some downfield, targets that you would like to take advantage of. So I do, and even reading about it, he says he wants to put more fun into the daily routine of the Detroit Lions. So I think there could be a good elevated sense of fun and competition, but I think Darrell can probably put the right pieces in place, especially offensively, to be really threatening with some of the talent you guys have.
Outstanding stuff. I appreciate the time, Tom. Last time these two played week 1, it came down to the final play of the game. So let's hope we get another classic one here today.
Well, you're talking about two completely different teams from week 1 to whatever week we are in the season. And I think that's the unique thing about divisional opponents when you play them so far apart. Like I said, new head coach, different players in different spots for both teams. And, we've already gone through 3 quarterback changes. So there's a lot on the line come Sunday at noon.
Looking forward to it, my man. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The color analyst of the Bears Radio Network, Tom Thayer. We send it back now to Steve Courtney and Sean Baligian.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. And thank you, Tom Thayer, for your time as well. I don't think, Sean, there's any doubt with the Bears having lost 5 straight, that Matt Nagy finds himself rather securely on the hot seat. Don't you?
Isn't it amazing, Steve, how quickly the fortunes in the National Football League can change? We've seen it the last few years. We could waste the next 5 minutes talking about the next bright young genius and how they struggle. Now, some guys have been able to continue it. I think you have to give, in particular, the story with the Rams and McVay some credit. But my goodness gracious, it's amazing how many of these guys just quickly fall apart when tape is out there and you start to figure out what they're doing.
Meanwhile, we are anxiously awaiting Darrell Bevell's debut as an NFL head coach. 8 days ago, Matt Patricia relieved of his duties. And you certainly, Sean, get the impression, and we've discussed it, by golly, the Lions' spirit broken. Their performance in Charlotte in that 20-0 loss to a woeful Panthers team. And then on Thanksgiving Day, 41-25 losers to the Houston Texans. I think, and owner Sheila Ford Hemp alluded to it, that was enough, that just couldn't take anymore.
Well, Steve, you and I talked about it for a long time now, and I don't like talking about it, but you can say as much as you want that the guys are thinking about, what's going on at the current moment. But in the back of their heads, when it happened so many times, they're human beings. They had to be sitting back going, oh no, here we go again. This team played like a bunch of guys that were hanging their heads and saying, oh no, here we go again. And that was the unfortunate thing. And it was time to make a move.
And the Lions have. And again, Darrell Bevell has made no bones about it. During his run as a successful offensive coordinator at the NFL level, that sure, he would like to eventually get some consideration to be a head coach. So again, here we are. He will have 5 games to make an impression on the Lions brass to stay moving forward or audition for other National Football League clubs. More coming your way. This is Lions Radio.
Make sure you visit DetroitLions.com for the latest Lions news, analysis, access, and more. Lions insider Tim Twentyman, along with Lions columnist Mike O'Hara, break down every aspect of today's game and the Lions' next opponent. That's only at the official online home of your Lions, DetroitLions.com.
Want to join in on the Lions game action from the comfort of your own home? Now's your chance with Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM. Available on the Detroit Lions app. Join in on the predictive game and be eligible to win cash prizes and future all-expenses-paid trips. For more games and Lions content, download the Lions mobile app today. Available on both iOS and Android. Go Lions!
The 25K Workday Payday on WJR is your shot at $100 10 times each weekday between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just text the national keyword to 95819 for a chance to win. And if you get $100, you're in the running for 25K. Complete details and contest rules at WJR.com. The 25K Workday Payday on 760 WJR is sponsored by Wayne State University, where you're more than strong, you're warrior strong. Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR.
Hey Lions fans, want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR. Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app on your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Paul W. Smith Mornings.
For regular celebrities, there are two terrible days. There's the first day when they go out, and everywhere they go, as they walk around, there are cameras shooting pictures of them. And the second worst day, it's even worse than the first day, is when they go out and there's no one there. And let's face it,
That is the truth. Listen to Paul W. Smith. Then stick around for Frank Beckman, Rush Limbaugh, Guy Gordon, and Mitch Albom. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk.
From old world flavor and consistent quality, Wiggly's has been a fan favorite since 1924. So when you're planning your next Lions tailgate party, ask the critical question. Is it Wiggly's? For more info, go to Wiggly's.com. That's Wiggly's.com.
WJR Detroit and WDVD HD2 Detroit. The great voice of the Great Lakes. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. This is the Detroit Lions Countdown to Kickoff on the Detroit Lions Radio Network.
Countdown to Kickoff is brought to you by the Sam Bernstein Law Firm, Ford Motor Company, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Wallside Windows, Rinaldi Sausage, Galling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, DTE Energy, McLaren Healthcare, Hungry Howie's, Bill Brown Ford, Oxford Recovery Center, Guernsey Farms Dairy, the Children's Foundation, Henry Ford Medical Group, Wiggly's famous Eastern Market Corned Beef, Michigan Building and Construction Trades Council, and Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Now, from Lions Radio Central, here are Steve Courtney and Sean Baligian.
Well, good morning once again, Lions Nation. Certainly hope you and yours doing well on this new Lions game day. Steve Courtney, Sean Baligian. What are we doing? Well, we're counting you down to the Lions and Bears, that tilt going on at Soldier Field. You know what, Sean, not to sound like that movie promo guy, but in a perfect world, Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn would have worked out, but it was rather evident for a while now that it was not going to. Matt Patricia leaves with a record of 13-29-1. And I think what was weighing on us and perhaps the players since the day he got here, the rhetoric became old. Got to coach him up better. Got to do this, got to do that. And it never improved. That is a recipe for disaster in the National Football League.
Yeah, and Steve, you know what? On a personal level, I wish them both the best. I liked both of them. I think I can speak for you there as well. I like both of them. It wasn't working. And so to me, Steve, that's a reason for optimism. I mean that. And I know what people are going to say. Yeah, it's the same old song and dance out of this franchise for the last 40 years. Well, does that mean you just stop trying? Eventually, you're going to get it right. You're going to get the right people in there. You're going to get the right general manager. You're going to get the right coaches. That's the way it's happened. I've watched it happen in sports so many times. Woe be gone, and yes, I use woe be gone in a sentence. Woe be gone franchises get the right people in there, and all of a sudden they become a model of consistency. That is what the Lions have to do. So you keep swinging, and eventually you're going to make contact, and you're going to send her a mile.
Well, Lions owner Sheila Fordham, as well as President Rod Wood, when they were discussing the termination of Quinn Tricia, said that they are going to exhaust no avenues in finding somebody to come in here and right the ship. Now, I don't think there's much of a secret. When you're in the situation the Lions are in, it certainly behooves you to get a general manager first and then a head coach. You agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, you know, what's the old saying with Bill Parcells? You know, why do you want me to make the dinner if you're not going to let me go out and buy the ingredients for the dinner? You know, that was kind of the old Bill Parcells saying from his time in New England. And I think that would be my mindset if I was a general manager. All right, you want me to make this beautiful 5-course meal, and you're not going to let me go out and get the ingredients myself. Now, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be that way, but logic dictates that it might.
Well, during his run as Lions head coach, Matt Patricia allowed a lot of teams looking to get healthy to do just that at the Lions' expense. It's interesting as we await this tilt with the Bears. They've lost 5 straight. we were talking about the same thing going into the Carolina Panthers tilt there in Charlotte. And all they did was shut the Lions out 20-0. That was probably the beginning of the end. But, this Bears team certainly with issues of their own. And you go back to the opener at Ford Field. Again, the Lions up 23-6 at the end of the third quarter. 23-6 at the end of the third quarter. Everything going their way. And then disaster. They end up losing 27-23. So, it would be nice to see this Lions team, who will be going in with an overall mark of 4-7, understand that there's a weak animal here in the Bears, and to take advantage of that in this Darrell Bevell's first game as a head coach. Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, and you know what, Steve? I think you bring up a great point, because they are a wounded animal, and they probably have a lot of that same thing that had been going on for the Lions. Here we go again mentality. That's what happens when you don't make the changes, when everything stays the course and adversity hits. Oftentimes that becomes habitual, and the heads hang, and oh no, here we go again. And Steve, guys can say it until they're Honolulu blue in the face, but that's the reality of life. You're a human being. That is a learned behavior. So when things start to go south, instinctively, I think a lot of guys do that. The Bears are probably at that point right now. And to me, this means put the pedal to the metal. Well, and Darrell Bevell, right from the get-go, said he would like to see this Lions team have fun. Now, he never expounded on that and said that while Matt Patricia was here, that there was no fun. But you've heard from various sources that it was a very rigid process inside those four walls of the Allen Park facility. Now, that being said, I don't think you're going to see the Lions playing Pictionary on the sidelines or anything like that. Fun comes through winning, for crying out loud. I'd like to see a little Twister on the field, though, twisting some hairs all over the place, right? That's why not, Steve? I mean, forget Pictionary, but no, you're absolutely right. You want to have fun, win. It's funny, you've heard so much about that about New England over the years. Oh, they don't have fun. That culture's not fun. Winning is fun. They're having a blast when they're winning Super Bowls. They're having a blast at parades, and they're having a blast of an off season. All right, we have got more to share with you as we continue to count you down to the Lions and Bears. Right now, we're going to let you know what else is going on with the Lions today.
We're 2 hours away from kickoff at Soldier Field for a preview of today. It's Lions Today. Here's Nick Roddy.
The Lions and Bears are getting ready to square off for the 181st meeting between the two franchises, and Chicago leads the all-time series 101-74 with 5 ties. Detroit is looking for their first divisional win of the season in what will be interim head coach Darrell Bevell's first game. Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn were let go last Saturday by owner Sheila Ford Hamp. And Lions defensive coordinator Corey Unlin knows the NFL is a results-based business.
I think you could probably imagine if one of your buddies called you and asked you for you to come over and help, and then you came over and helped and it didn't work. Not a good situation to be in. One of my closest friends on this planet, coaching and personal life. So, yeah, not ideal. He and I both know, we all know what this business entails. And that's if you don't play good and you don't produce, you lose your job. And I think in the grand scheme of things, we both understand that. Obviously feel terrible about the situation, but that situation is what it is right now. And we got to move forward.
Detroit hasn't played in 10 days. And coming into the week, left tackle Taylor Decker said Coach Bevell asked the team to have a clear mind coming into Chicago.
Coming off the Thanksgiving game, we had a little bye week, basically. And then with the facilities being shut down, obviously had a couple extra days. And he pretty much just, I want everybody to come in here refreshed and of the mindset that we still have something to play for. We're only 2 games out. It's trying to be able to get a wild card spot, and there's still a lot to play for. And if you can't get excited to go out there and try and win, then, do you have a pulse? I don't know.
The theme of this week in Allen Park was simple: have fun. And Coach Bevell knows no other way.
I'm just going to be myself. I'm asking the guys to come in with with refreshed attitude, ready to work, number one, but ready to have a good time, and kind of just let them play with their hair on fire. Let them play fast. Let them play free. And then, we'll worry about the end result at the end. But we're going to take it one game at a time, and hopefully we'll like what happens at the end.
That's the Lions Today. I'm Nick Roddy.
there will be one Super Bowl champ crowned at the end of this year. That's it. That's a fact. And the fact is, we got to come back and go to work. That's all we got to do.
For a closer look at the Chicago Bears, here's Charting the Opposition. Brought to you by Galling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Here's Chris Renwick.
The Bears are on a 5-game losing streak, so they're looking to get off the schneid this week against a new-look Lions team. Now, yes, we know the Lions made some coaching and front office changes following their Thanksgiving loss to the Texans. But how exactly does that impact today's game? Mitch Trubisky's back under center for Chicago and says he knows Detroit's played a lot of man coverage over the last couple of seasons, but what exactly does he expect? Now, he says you got to expect the unexpected.
I think you have to expect that because that's who they are and that's what they've done. That's what they've done for the last 11 weeks. But you got to expect the unexpected. With the new coach being in there, they might throw some different looks at us. So for us, it's just worrying about what we're doing on the offensive side of the ball, being in the right place, right time, executing our plays. Trying to take another step forward from last week. And obviously my focus is ball security and taking care of the football. But yeah, you got to expect the unexpected, but that's who they've been the last 11 weeks. So to change in a week, we'll see, but you got to be ready for it.
Defensively, Chicago's got a unit that's been put in some tough spots over the last month plus. And head coach Matt Nagy says he took the time this week to talk to his defense to tell him how much he appreciates their effort that they give every week.
They know, and I had conversation with guys, and they understand. And we just talked a little bit about how we're going to go ahead attacking Detroit, but then also, where we're at mindset-wise as a defense and us collectively as a team, and where I'm at with them, where they're at, and it was really good. It was really healthy. And I just, I appreciate how hard they've been working and for us as a team.
The Bears only have one divisional win so far this year, and that came back in week 1 against, yep, you guessed it, Detroit. We'll see if they can nab their second one today. That's Charting the Opposition. I'm Chris Renwick.
Christopher, thank you very much. Appreciate it for sure. Meanwhile, if you're looking for good news on this game day Sunday, here it is for you. Ken Brown is back, which means the meeting room is as well. We'll have another exciting episode coming up. This is Lions Radio.
The 25K Workday Payday on WJR is your shot at $100 10 times each weekday between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just text the national keyword to 95819 for a chance to win. And if you get $100, you're in the running for 25K. Complete details and contest rules at WJR.com. The 25K Workday Payday on 760 WJR is sponsored by Wayne State University, where you're more than strong, you're warrior strong.
Make sure you visit DetroitLions.com for the latest Lions news, analysis, access, and more. Lions insider Tim Twentyman, along with Lions columnist Mike O'Hara, break down every aspect of today's game and the Lions' next opponent. That's only at the official online home of your Lions, DetroitLions.com.
After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR.
Countless families receive crucial support. Please consider the Children's Foundation in your year-end giving. Learn more at yourchildrensfoundation.org.
Lions Radio 760 WJR.
Wallside Windows is the official window company of the Detroit Lions Radio Network. We can do that. We are the factory. Well, it's been a while. Let's just put our cards on the table. In fact, we had to clear out some cobwebs in the meeting room, but all of that's past history because Ken Brown is back.
Now entering the meeting room, a sit down with your favorite Detroit Lions. Here's Ken Brown.
And we're here on this week's edition of the Meeting Room. Ken Brown in with my special guest, kind of a newcomer to the Lions, but not a newcomer to the league, Mohamed Sanu. Hello, Mohamed.
What's going on?
How you doing today?
I'm great, baby. How you doing?
All right. Well, it's kind of a weird time for you. Come in and things kind of change around when you came, and now you're going to be going into a game with a new head coach. Just tell me the whirlwind experience for you and how this is affecting you.
It's not affecting me. It's just a whirlwind, and you just got to be able to adjust with what's going on. You got to be able to take it for what it is and, do your part.
Have you ever been through any other coaching changes in your career so far?
No, but it is what it is. I can't do nothing about it, but I can come every day and, give my best efforts and, make sure we help us get a win. That's what I'm focused on is doing my part, help us get a win.
Right. And as crazy as it is, 4-7 is still not out of it in this crazy COVID year of football. There's 5 games left and anything could happen. As a team, is that the rational thinking or you guys just thinking 1 week at a time?
We know that it's there. We know it's not out of the picture, but at the same time, it's like if you can control what you can control this week and you keep stacking each week, you let the chips fall where they may. And at the end of the day, you'll get the result that you're looking for. But you're looking for the result before you do the process, so you handle what you need to handle, then you're not going to get what you're looking for. So you got to find a beauty in the process. Enjoy what it is now, each day, each week, whatever it is. And then when time comes for Sunday, go put it out there on Sunday.
Have you noticed a change? I guess it's only been a day or two since you guys have practiced. Maybe this is the first day practicing, but is there a different feeling out there, or is it just pretty much the same? And whoever the coach is, we're going to do what we do.
No, it's definitely a different feeling. It's more energy, and guys flying around, having a good time. The culture is changing, perspectives changing. But at the same time, we gotta know, it's go time. Whether each time we're out there, no wasted reps, no wasted, opportunities. You got to take advantage of each one because you're not going to get those back.
People that don't know, Mohamed, you went to Rutgers, and were they in the Big Ten when you? Sorry for not knowing. I should have looked at this before. Were they in the Big Ten?
They were in the Big East.
The Big East, okay.
The Big East.
So when you go back, do you consider yourself a Big Tenner now when people talk to you about Rutgers?
No, I'm a Big East guy.
Big East.
I didn't play in the Big Ten.
So even when you go back,
if I play in the Big Ten, I'll call myself a Big Ten guy, but I play in the Big East. That's a real division. Big Ten cool and all, but Big East is where everybody, was fighting. And no matter what it was.
Now you're supposed to come to town saying you love the Big Ten. How you gonna do that?
I'm not. Why would I lie? I'm not gonna lie to you.
You gotta say something for the people here in the Big Ten area.
I love the Big Ten. I love watching the Big Ten. But my era, I didn't play in the Big Ten. I played in the Big East.
The Big East. Well, we love Rutgers anyway. And now, one thing about you as a pro, I'm gonna get back to you later on that. Anyway, one thing about you as a pro, you throw the ball a little bit. Where did you get that quarterback? I was looking at your career. You're 7 for 8. I don't know what the incomplete was for 233 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, you got to ask my mom and dad about that one. That's just something I was just born with, being able to do some of the athletic stuff. Just put my mind to it and I just do it. It's just one of those things where you have the gifts to do it. As long as you believe in yourself, you can do it.
Were you a high school quarterback?
I was a high school quarterback.
Throwing, or were you doing the option? Throwing?
I was throwing.
All right, I'm about to get the tape. We can dig some tape up now. We can find.
Not that tape. That's VHS tape.
You say get the old beta.
We don't got this Mac. We don't got all the stuff they got now. Huddle and all, whatever the case they got. We was max preps.
I know that's bad. Hey, I'm gonna see if you remember. Who was your first touchdown pro pass to?
AJ Green.
AJ Green? And who was your last one to?
My last pass was to Matt Ryan.
Oh, okay. All right. Look at you. You remember those. So we got to get one while you're here. I want to see you throw that ball.
We're going to get one. I'll make sure it happens. I ain't going to tell you when, but I'll work my magic, see what we can do.
You a bunch of firsts because the first pass you caught with the Lions was a touchdown. Then you decided that wasn't enough and got the 2-pointer right after. That was a full day's work right there.
If you're going to work, you might as well work, right?
I guess so.
You can't come to work and not be prepared to work.
Exactly. Well, Muhammad, I wish you guys luck, man. I wish that your attitude would still with the rest of the team, because I think you guys can still do something this time. So I want you to hang in there, get it done. But before you leave, I always got a meeting room question. Are you ready for our meeting room question?
Sure.
Here you go. You got to throw a TD to somebody, to who, and you got to catch a TD to somebody who, and no Lions involved with this. Who's the person on each one?
If I'm throwing it to?
Yep.
And no Lions?
No Lions. No, we don't want nothing local. You don't want to be local anyway. I mean, you want to be Big East.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll say I would want to throw one to Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
He's the homie. Or Tay Adams. Because they my people.
All right.
Or if I would catch one from, I don't know. I love my quarterback.
You done paid for 12 quarterbacks now. You know you got one of them you can tell me about.
I know. I'm trying to think. I mean, this is the thing. You got to think of it as a league. They all can throw the thing.
Right.
So I probably have to go with, I want to see what Ryan Tannehill, because me and Ryan, we grew up together.
Oh, okay.
I grew up, but we went to the combine process together, training. So back then, he was hurt throughout the whole process. And when we were coming out, and we didn't get to really work out much. It was more like me and Kurt and me and Russell, we worked out more.
Okay.
So we didn't really get to a lot of throwing and catching, but it would be fun to work around.
All right. That's your guy. Muhammad, it's been a pleasure, man. I hope when this thing is over, we get to meet in person. But anyway, good luck with the rest of the season. Keep that and stuff going with the team, because I think you guys still are going to do a little damage here in these last 5 games. So I appreciate you coming on with us today to the meeting room.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. You too. That's Muhammad Sanu in the meeting room.
All right, Kenny, thank you. Well, Lions interim head coach Darrell Bevell wants to see this team have some fun. But, Sean, just listening to that edition of the meeting room, and Muhammad Sanu already sounds like he's having a ball. Huh?
Yeah, you know what, Steve, I think that was a really shrewd pickup. I do. This is a guy that's done some things. I think this is a guy that can be part of perhaps the next generation of Lion receivers and help some of the younger guys that are sure to come. So we'll see how that plays out.
All right, we've got more coming your way as the countdown continues to the Lions and Bears. This is the Detroit Lions Radio Network.
Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR.
Want to join in on the Lions game action from the comfort of your own home? Now's your chance with Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM. Available on the Detroit Lions app. Join in on the predictive game and be eligible to win cash prizes and future all-expenses-paid trips. For more games and Lions content, download the Lions mobile app today. Available on both iOS and Android. Go Lions!
Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app on your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk.
Make sure you visit DetroitLions.com for the latest Lions news, analysis, access, and more. Lions insider Tim Twentyman, along with Lions columnist Mike O'Hara, break down every aspect of today's game and the Lions' next opponent. That's only at the official online home of your Lions, DetroitLions.com.
Hey, Lions fans. Want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR. The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR. Paul W. Smith Mornings.
For regular celebrities, there are two terrible days. There's the first day when they go out, and everywhere they go, as they walk around, there are cameras shooting pictures of them. And the second worst day, that's even worse than the first day, is when they go out and there's no one there. And let's face it, that is the truth.
Listen to Paul W. Smith. Then stick around for Frank Beckman, Rush Limbaugh, Guy Gordon, and Mitch Albom. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR.
The countdown continues here on Lions Radio. Steve Courtney, Sean Baligian here. And I'll tell you what. I got to tell you this first. Wallside Windows is the official window company of the Detroit Lions Radio Network. We can do that. We are the factory. All right. Now, I think we're all in agreement, Sean, that Mitch Trubisky, since he's been in the NFL, it's his fourth year, mediocre, except when it comes to the Lions. For some reason, when he faces the Honolulu Blue and Silver, he's like Dan Marino reincarnated. How about this? He threw for 242 yards and 3 TDs. In the win in week 1 against the Lions, that 17-point come from behind win. Now he is aiming, how about this? He's aiming for his 5th in a row against the Lions with 3+ touchdowns and a rating of 100 or better. How does it happen?
It's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah, Steve, I still go back to week 1 this year. I mean, how that happened is even when they got the first touchdown, you're like, okay, that's cute. They got one back. But then to score 2 times late, you just shake your head. It's surreal. And don't think for a second that defense doesn't take that personally and are going to do everything they can to ensure that doesn't happen today.
But here's where the plot thickens, my friend. Earlier this week, the Lions placed Danny Shelton and Desmond Trufant on injured reserve. We also know, and again, inactives coming out in about 4 minutes or so, we also know that Jeff Okudah, the rookie corner out of Ohio State, is out. So, look, if you're Trubisky and this Bears offense, you realize what's going on here. The Lions are going to be shorthanded in that secondary. Might be salivating a little bit. Why not?
Yeah, you know what, Steve? I mean, to me, this is at this point in time, you put a premium on putting pressure on a quarterback. I mean, that's something that, you perhaps can control today, dialing up some things to put some pressure on him. This is a guy that probably is struggling a little bit as it is, wondering, how short of a leash he might have, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, you put the pressure on this guy and take the game to him.
Any surprise, and meant to bring this up, and I'm going to right now, the Lions waive wide receiver Marvin Hall. Also kind of had the nickname Big Play Marvin Hall. He was a legitimate deep threat that Matthew Stafford would go to on numerous occasions. And the Lions waived Mr. Hall, which means they're going to put a little more emphasis on the rookie Quintez Cephas, the aforementioned Mohamed Sanu. Danny Amendola will probably be back in the lineup today. But I thought Marvin Hall was rather serviceable during his stay here.
So did I, and I thought that this was a guy that might be again part of that receiving core moving forward. It's not like he's a wily veteran. He's not as young as people think, but it's not like he's a wily veteran. But obviously they felt otherwise. Steve, I mean, let's be honest. You and I, it seems like we've been talking about this for 2 years. This is the year that they're going to learn or look to turn the page moving into next year on some of that receiving core, and it's going to look vastly different. I thought perhaps he would have one of those slots. The Lions thought otherwise.
Kenny Golladay, via social media, has made no bones about it. He'd like to get paid, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy. That is an issue. He is out for today's tilt against the Bears with that bad hip. And it's going to be very interesting to see which direction this organization goes as it applies to Kenny Golladay. Look, he is a talented receiver. There is no question about it. But how much do you pay him?
Well, and Steve, let's be honest. I mean, the mere fact that he has had some of the injury issues this year, I mean, that's a cause for concern. It just is. I mean, to me, I said this before, I'll say it again. I think he's a top 10 area wide receiver in the National Football League. I mean that in all sincerity. But look, if you can't stay on the field, what do you think people are going to say in the negotiation room?
Usually that kind of stuff is held against you. To be honest with you, it's the way the league works, folks. All right, don't go away. We will have that inactive list and our conversation with Tim Twentyman from DetroitLions.com as we roll on. This is Lions Radio.
Hey, Lions fans. Want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. The 25K Workday Payday on WJR is your shot at $100 10 times each weekday between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just text the national keyword to 95819 for a chance to win. And if you get $100, you're in the running for 25K. Complete details and contest rules at WJR.com. The 25K Workday Payday on 760 WJR is sponsored by Wayne State University, where you're more than strong, you're warrior strong. Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR.
Make sure you visit DetroitLions.com for the latest Lions news, analysis, access, and more. Lions insider Tim Twentyman, along with Lions columnist Mike O'Hara, break down every aspect of today's game and the Lions' next opponent. That's only at the official online home of your Lions, DetroitLions.com.
The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR.
Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. It's a new day. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com.
News Talk 760 WJR.
And just like that, today's inactive list is brought to you by Oxford Recovery Center, where healing begins. All right, here we go. Not going for the Honolulu Blue and Silver against the Bears on this game day. Quarterback David Blau, the aforementioned wide receiver Kenny Galladay, the aforementioned cornerback Jeff Okudah, running back Deandre Swift. He was downgraded to doubtful. Well, we know it's worse than that. Defensive lineman Deshaun Hand, and the defensive end Austin Bryant, who's just had a heck of a time staying healthy. All right, with that being said, this NFL Cider is brought to you by Michigan Building and Construction Trades Council. We begin our conversation with our friend from DetroitLions.com, Mr. Tim Twentyman. Timmy, how are you?
Good, guys. How are you doing?
All right. We were talking about the success that one Mitch Trubisky has had against the Lions. And it would seem, Tim, that the Lions are the only team that Trubisky's had success against. He's thrown for 242 yards, 3 TDs in that come-from-behind win in Week 1. As a matter of fact, my partner almost passed out when I told him this. Trubisky is aiming for his 5th in a row against the Lions, Tim, with 3+ TDs and a quarterback rating of 100 or better. He has just feasted on the Honolulu Blue and Silver.
He has. You know, it's amazing. He's thrown the most touchdown passes of any quarterback against the Lions since 2017. So there's another one for you, too. And so that's more than Aaron Rodgers, guys. That's more than Aaron Rodgers, right? So it's, you know, sometimes you've got a team's number, and that obviously seems to be the case with Mitchell Trubisky and the Chicago Bears against the Detroit Lions. And look, it's going to be up to, you know, Darrell Bevell and Corey Undon, to kind of crack that formula and figure out how to get after him. And that's really the key to me. And I think, you know, one of the reasons why you see those numbers the way they are with Mitchell is, look, the Lions have been bottom 3 in the NFL since 2018 in pressure rate, blitz percentage and opposing passers' time to throw. You can have a lot of success when you can sit back there and dial it out to your weapons. And then you have a pretty good defense on the other side as well, which Chicago has had for a number of years now. So they've got to figure out how to do some things a little bit different, how to pressure him, get him uncomfortable. And they've got to crack that formula, because that's certainly not good for a guy like Mitchell Trubisky, who is an average quarterback in this league, in my opinion. To have that kind of success, something's got to give.
Boy, Tim, you hit the nail on top of the head. You can't control some of the injuries. You can't control some of the deficiencies. You can control dialing it up and getting after the quarterback. And it's funny, the Bears kind of know that. They're kind of taking the expect the unexpected mantra into this one.
Yeah, you should. I think Unlin played it coy this week, and I can't really do that much in 3 days, and we can't change a lot schematically. And I agree to some extent, but you know what you can do, guys? You can dial up the pressure, right? You can mix up some different personnel packages. You can't change an entire scheme in a week, but I think we could see some differences just in terms of some unique blitz packages, and you've got to get after it, right? That pressure rate and that blitz percentage being bottom 3 in the NFL since 2018. They're also the team that's led the NFL in rushing the passer with only 3 guys. That 20% of the time they rush with 3 guys since 2018, the most in the NFL. And so you got to do something different, right? If I'm Corey Unlin, I look at some of those numbers and I'm like, all right, guys, look, let's get after the quarterback, right? What we've been doing isn't working. So, there's obviously some risk in that, as you guys know. They're a little short on cornerbacks. You're going to put some of those guys in some tough situations one-on-one when you blitz, but you can't let a quarterback sit back there and do what quarterbacks have done to the Lions since the beginning of 2018. You just can't. And so, we talked to Romeo Okwara this week. He said it's definitely going to look a little bit different. And so the interesting part about today for me is going to be, how does it look different on defense? I don't think alignments and stuff are going to be that much different, but I would expect that we see a little bit more blitzing in, and we see Corey Unlin try to be aggressive and dial up the pressure and put his stamp on this defense.
Timmy, let's talk about the saga of the rookie running back Deandre Swift. He has cleared concussion protocol, although he did not make it to the practice field this week because of illness. Now, are they related? You could certainly make that statement. But what we know is Deandre is going to miss his 3rd straight game. And if there was somebody who wanted to get revenge against the Bears, it would be Deandre Swift, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you feel bad for the young guy.
No doubt.
He makes his first start against Washington, right? 149 scrimmage yards and has the touchdown and just looks like everything you thought he would be when they drafted him 2nd overall. And then a couple of days later, obviously, he has concussion symptoms and then he's out. Now, just to be accurate, the team did release a statement this week that says his illness is not related to the concussion. He's cleared concussion protocol by an independent neurologist, and it's not related to COVID-19. So that's just from what the team has placed out there. So whether that's the flu or just sick, or they haven't told us exactly what that illness is, but it's not related to those things, which I guess is a good sign. Bad sign for Detroit. He's not playing today because he's so dynamic. But I thought Kerryon Johnson and Adrian Peterson were efficient against Houston. I think they combined for 101 rushing yards. Kerryon Johnson in particular, I think he had 52 receiving yards on top of 46 rushing yards. And so he did some of those things, and I would expect them to have a similar role with Kerryon being the kind of 3-down type back that Swift was. And then we'll see Adrian Peterson on early downs and goal line. He had 2 1-yard rushing touchdowns against Houston, so he'll be that kind of back that pounds it in at the goal line.
Timmy, appreciate your time as always, my friend. Thank you so much. Hopefully, Darrell Bevell gets a W here in his debut.
Yeah, it'd be fun to write about afterward, wouldn't it?
Sure would. Appreciate it.
And talk about with you guys. All right, guys.
Tim Twentyman,
Thanks, Tim.
DetroitLions.com, spending some time with us here. Don't go away. Myself, Sean, will be back to talk about some of the other matchups going on this game day in the National Football League. This is the Detroit Lions Radio Network.
Paul W. Smith Mornings.
For regular celebrities, there are 2 terrible days. There's the first day when they go out, and everywhere they go, as they walk around, there are cameras shooting pictures of them. And the second worst day, it's even worse than the first day, is when they go out and there's no one there. And let's face it,
that is the truth. Listen to Paul W. Smith. Then stick around for Frank Beckman, Rush Limbaugh, Guy Gordon, and Mitch Albom. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR. Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app on your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. The 25K Workday Payday on WJR is your shot at $100 10 times each weekday between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just text the national keyword to 95819 for a chance to win. And if you get $100, you're in the running for 25K. Complete details and contest rules at WJR.com. The 25K Workday Payday on 760 WJR is sponsored by Wayne State University, where you're more than strong, you're warrior strong.
Make sure you visit DetroitLions.com for the latest Lions news, analysis, access, and more. Lions insider Tim Twentyman, along with Lions columnist Mike O'Hara, break down every aspect of today's game and the Lions' next opponent. That's only at the official online home of your Lions, DetroitLions.com.
After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR. The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR.
Hey, Lions fans. Want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
You know, at Hungry Howie's, get any 2 items from the mix and match menu for just $5.99 each. That's Hungry Howie's. Steve Courtney, Sean Baligian, Lions Radio Central, counting you down. Lions at Soldier Field for a little how you doing with the Bears. As a matter of fact, Lions looking for their first divisional win of this year. No better time than the now. Sean, there are some real dogs going on in the National Football League. I just don't know how to say it any better. Let's just fast forward to probably the marquee matchup of this NFL game day. The 8-3 Browns in Nashville to face the 8-3 Titans. That one's a good one.
Yeah, and you know what? The Browns have a chance to prove that they're legitimate because, Steve, I think upon closer examination, you're going to hear a lot of people say, well, who have the Browns really beaten? And then a couple opportunities to make a big statement. They got pounded by Baltimore and they got pounded by Pittsburgh. They're going to have an opportunity to make a statement against a very good Titan team.
Let's talk about the Fins for a minute here. How surprised are you that when the Miami Dolphins play host to the Bengals at Hard Rock Stadium in beautiful Miami Gardens today, the Dolphins will do so as a 7-4 team. And a lot has been made about Tua Tagovailoa taking the reins. But it is the crafty veteran Ryan Fitzpatrick who has pretty much led them to W's. And this is a very fascinating story.
It is, Stephen. I'll tell you what, I would love to believe that the Lions can find themselves in the position that teams like Miami and Arizona are in, because it's not that long ago that a lot of us thought that those teams were going to wander the wilderness for a few years trying to get back. The NFL sets itself up to put you in a position where you can improve your fortune. You got to take advantage of it. And there have been some really good moves down in Miami that got them to be better than average quicker than anybody thought.
Is there a worse organization in the NFL than the New York Jets, Jets? I bring that up because at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford today, they'll be playing host to the Adam Gase, their fine head coach, has basically come out. No, not basically. He's come out and said he's failed to develop Sam Darnold. Now, here's a team that's 0-11, and the head coach has basically said, you know what? I didn't do my job.
It's amazing. And Steve, I remember talking to you about this a few weeks ago. I don't know where the W is. I don't know where the W comes from. And I'm not one of those guys. I think the easiest thing in the world is to say, oh, this team's going to go 0-16. There's a reason only 2 teams have gone 0-16. You have to be in a very putrid team to find a way to lose 16 games in this league. I think the Jets are of that special stock. Steve.
Agreed.
Really
This is a good one. Interesting. 4:05 start. The Rams at 7-4. They'll be in Arizona to face the 6-5 Cardinals. Cardinals looking for a little postseason action.
Yeah, Steve, that is the one game this afternoon that really has me intrigued. I mean, there are, as you mentioned, there are just a bunch of stinkers. There's no other way to say that. There really is, but that's going to be one to keep an eye on. The Rams have kind of bounced back and gone back in the right direction. Cardinals are kind of in that neutral right now, a good opportunity to make a statement.
The New York Football Giants, they're a 4-7 team, just like our Lions. 4-7. The difference is, you see, the Giants are leading the NFC East, for crying out loud. How long will that last? The Giants find themselves in Seattle to face a pretty good Seahawk team today.
Yeah, nothing to apologize for. I mean, this is the way the league is set up. You can't blame the Giants. I mean, this is the league, so never apologize for a victory, whether it be in the standings or on the field, but they're awful. I mean, no doubt about it. And the Seahawks, after starting out of the gate so quickly, and Russell Wilson looked like he was going to throw 70 touchdowns. They've kind of come back down to earth a little bit, both as a team and he in those prolific numbers. So an opportunity to pump her up a little bit here this afternoon.
And then we have a Monday Night Football doubleheader. The Washington Football Club in Pittsburgh to face the perfect Steelers. Then at 8:15, the regular game, the Bills will be, and this is weird, the Bills will be in Arizona to face the 49ers.
Yes, it is. And there are some funny exchanges on Twitter during the week between the Niners and the Cardinals. And they said, make sure you put your name on things in the refrigerator or it will be eaten. So they had some fun with that. And, then we get a Tuesday game as well with the Cowboys and the Ravens. Steve, this was the reality of this season. We knew that things were going to be strange. We knew that we might get a couple Monday games, a Tuesday game, heck, even a Wednesday game. But all in all, for the NFL to get the games in the way they have, props to them.
No doubt about it. It's been an exceptional effort by so many. All right, coming up after the break, we will have our players to watch. Make sure you leave it here. This is Lions Radio. Want to join in on the Lions game action from the comfort of your own home? Now's your chance with Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM. Available on the Detroit Lions app. Join in on the predictive game and be eligible to win cash prizes and future all-expenses-paid trips. For more games and Lions content, download the Lions mobile app today. Available on both iOS and Android. Go Lions!
After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR. Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app on your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR. The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR.
With 1,000 down. So come see us. That's Gowling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Bloomfield Hills, Chelsea, Roseville, and online at Gowling.com. And go Lions!
Lions Radio 760 WJR.
And this reminder, today's players to watch are brought to you by Guernsey Farms Dairy, celebrating 80 years of award-winning dairy products. Well, partner, why don't you go first? Because I'm going to switch it up a little bit.
You know what? I'm going to switch it up a little bit as well, Steve. I hope you don't mind. Usually I go with an individual. I'm going to go with pass rush. Put pressure on this guy. Quit making life easy for a mediocre quarterback. Put pressure on him. Make him feel uncomfortable. Mediocre quarterbacks will do mediocre things when you put pressure on him. Give him time, and anybody can pick apart the National Football League. Put pressure on Mitchell Trubisky.
I understand that.
Did I say that emphatically enough?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I appreciated it, too. You are really feeling what you're talking about. I can tell that. I know the name of the segment is Players to Watch, but I'm going to go with Coach to Watch, and that means Darrell Bevell. Look, he is making his National Football League debut as a head coach, and with that comes a great deal of responsibility. Here's a guy who has had success as an offensive coordinator in this league for the better part of 20 years. He has made mention of the fact that, sure, he'd like to be a head coach one day. Sure, I'd like to be a head coach one day. Well, it's under difficult circumstances. 5 games left in this Lions schedule. He is saying all the right things, as we've talked about since this countdown began, Sean. He has been a breath of fresh air in his Zoom calls. I would imagine that this team is sensing his energy. He wants his team to go out and have some fun, which is clearly something they weren't doing under Matt Patricia. But when you put that head coach headset on, things changed for you a little bit, especially when you consider that Darrell Bevell is still going to be calling the offensive plays, and I don't think he'd have it any other way. We wish him success, you bet. But it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this title of head coach of the Detroit Lions.
I agree with you, Steve. It's going to be, to me, it's going to be fun to watch. This is, an opportunity to show people what you might do. And there are probably going to be some gadgets thrown out there and some things not going crazy with it, but let's go.
You better believe it. We're getting the thoughts of one Dan Miller and one Lomas Brown as we continue here. This is the Detroit Lions Radio Network.
Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR. After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk.
Make sure you visit DetroitLions.com for the latest Lions news, analysis, access, and more. Lions insider Tim Twentyman, along with Lions columnist Mike O'Hara, break down every aspect of today's game and the Lions' next opponent. That's only at the official online home of your Lions, DetroitLions.com.
Paul W. Smith Mornings.
For regular celebrities, there are two terrible days. There's the first day when they go out, and everywhere they go, as they walk around, there are cameras shooting pictures of them. And the second worst day, it's even worse than the first day, is when they go out and there's no one there. And let's face it,
That is the truth. Listen to Paul W. Smith. Then stick around for Frank Beckman, Rush Limbaugh, Guy Gordon, and Mitch Albom. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR.
Hey, Lions fans. Want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app on your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. The 25K Workday Payday on WJR is your shot at $100 10 times each weekday between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just text the national keyword to 95819 for a chance to win. And if you get $100, you're in the running for 25K. Complete details and contest rules at WJR.com. The 25K Workday Payday on 760 WJR is sponsored by Wayne State University, where you're more than strong, you're warrior strong.
Well, as it turns out, Dan and Lomas' first look is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Confidence comes with every card. We turn our attention to Ford Field, where the lads are. And you know what, fellas? A new chapter in Lions history begins on this game day. Darrell Bevell, the interim head coach, taking over from Matt Patricia. And Danny, we'll start with you. I know the NFL doesn't hand out any W's based on energy, but if they did, Darrell Bevell would have a few.
Yeah, I love the phrase. He wants his guys to play like their hair's on fire. He's looked like his hair's been on fire since last Saturday. Look, I don't know where this is going. I don't know where anything's going, but I know this. He's an easy guy to root for. He's a terrific guy, even before he got this opportunity. Bev's just one of the nicest people you'll meet in this business, and he's – I hope he goes out there and really shows well. I don't know long run that it will matter. We'll have to wait and see. Mm-hmm. But I root for him. I'd love to see him put it on his resume. I'd love to see him put it on there that he went out and acquitted himself well, and that the team did as well. And I hope they understand there's something to play for, and that they do go out like their hair's on fire and start playing some football. Because, look, this isn't all about Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. You got a lot of players that didn't do their jobs, and that's one of the reasons we're sitting here today.
Lo, does this seem familiar to you? 1988, a coaching change is made. 5 games to go. A guy by the name of Wayne Fonts takes over. The rest is history. What's that like from a player's perspective?
Well, it's almost kind of refreshing, to be honest with you. Different voice, different philosophy, a different type of energy, different ways of doing things. It's just totally different. And, I always say this. Sometimes as a player, you subconsciously tune out the coach. You hear that voice so much to subconsciously you tune them out. And I just think with Coach Bevell, and like Dan said, with his energy, I just think it's going to be refreshing for those guys. But again, it shouldn't have to be just on Coach Bevell and what he brings there. Because those guys, like Dan said, those guys are responsible for the product that goes on the field. The coaches are responsible for getting those guys ready and putting them in position. But the guys got to go out, tackle, catch, and do all the other things. So hopefully we'll see something real nice today from an energized team.
Sadly, Dan Miller, if Mitchell Trubisky just played the Lions in his career, chances are he'd get a yellow jacket and a bust at the Hall of Fame. They've got to do something to stop what he's done against our beloved Lions.
Yeah, I don't mean to be flip, Steve, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that could say that. In particular, over the last 2.5 years, if they only played the Lions, they'd be headed to Canton. I think to go a little wider picture than what you asked, I think the reason we're standing here today is the inability of Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia to build a defense. Had an offense that wasn't playing as well as it could, but it was okay. This defense for 2.5 years, save for 8 games with snacks, has been brutal. And I honestly believe if you look at the whole thing and evaluate it, that's the reason they lost a lot of games. And that's the reason that we're standing here thinking that this team's looking for a new head coach and a new general manager. But to your point, this guy is 4-2 against the Lions. The last 4 that he's played, he's been terrific. He has put up touchdowns and very few interceptions. And we saw what he did here in week number 1, where it looked like the Lions had him finished, and he has brought him back. And you got to find some way to put some pressure on him today. And I think one of the interesting things that I've heard you guys kind of discuss a little bit is let's see what Corey Undlin does without Matt Patricia there. I don't know that there's a lot of separation between the two, but it's one of the things to watch today.
All right, Dan Miller, Lomas Brown coming up with the call. Lions at Soldier Field to take on the Bears. Thank you, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we will have that coming up for you shortly. As a matter of fact, Sean, where did time go? Our time together has come and gone. But first what we'll do is pause 10 seconds for our network stations to identify themselves. As you well know, this is the Detroit Lions Radio Network.
WJR Detroit and WDVD HD2 Detroit. The great voice of the Great Lakes. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Now back to the broadcast booth. Here are the voices of the Lions, Dan Miller and Lomas Brown.
Week 13 in the National Football League, and the Lions are on the road at Soldier Field in Chicago, getting ready for an NFC North battle against the Bears. We're glad you're with us. We're going to bring it to you. We're about an hour away from kickoff. Dan Miller, Lomas Brown at Ford Field. It's 2020. This is where we're calling the road games, so we're going to give you the bird's eye view from here as we watch this thing unfold. And this is bigger than a football game right now, because since we last saw this team when they were on the field right in front of us on Thanksgiving Day, they have fired their head coach. They have fired their general manager. I don't think it was a great shock in either case, but I guess the question is, and you and Sean touched on it a little bit, is it a wake-up call for players that, hey, there really are jobs on the line? I said that to Matthew Stafford this week, and he said to me, yeah, I guess so. If a player needs a wake-up call, geez. And it was like, but you know what? Maybe somebody does. I don't know. It's a sad statement if they do.
True. I agree with Matthew. That is a sad statement if guys have to be motivated to go out there on the field. But Dan, yes, it is. I mean, you think about it. You're going to hear things from a totally different person now. You got a totally different voice in there that you're hearing things from. Coach Bevel probably is going to have a different philosophy of how he wants to attack things. You know, maybe things on the sideline that they do differently. Pre-game might be different from what Coach Patricia done. So, yes, for these players, this has to be a wake-up call. But it should have been a wake-up call that should have been rung game 1, week 1.
They say sometimes and look, this isn't the hire that the Lions will ultimately make, but oftentimes you go from the tough guy to the nice guy to the tough guy. In this season, I think you can make the case the Lions went from the tough guy to the nice guy with Darrell Bevel.
You're exactly right. Again, we did something similar to that with Darryl Rogers and Wayne Fonts. You know, Darryl was a guy that wasn't into details, a guy that didn't study the game. You can see Wayne was totally different from him. Plus, Wayne lets you have fun.
Right.
And
Wayne made sure that there was quality beer on the flight. Not just beer, quality beer.
You're right about that.
All right, let's bring in Mike O'Hara, who joins us now. The Lions Radio Roundtable brought to you by Ford, built Ford proud. Michael?
You know, Dan and Lomas, I'm just happy to say that I was traveling with the Lions at the right time.
And there was quality beer on the flight, wasn't there?
Not enough.
You've been here before, my friend.
Yes, I have.
We all have. I mean, gosh, in my 23 years covering this team, I've seen this too many times. Your X number of years covering this team, you've seen it too many times. And I guess the question now is big picture, and this is really what overrides everything. Yes, there's 5 games left, but I think, can they get it right? Can they put the franchise in the hands of the people that can get this thing moving in the right direction.
Well, I don't know if we're talking about on an interim basis with Darryl Rowe.
I'm talking about when they make the ultimate decision coming up after the season.
Well, I think Bevel's part of it because I think it is a true audition for him, but I think he's really facing a tougher deal than Wayne Fonse had because Wayne had been the defensive coordinator. It was in his 5th year, and he already had a record of his defense and the players playing for him. I don't think Darryl's quite built that up yet, in all due respect. I think guys like him. I think what he's done in changing things is what he had to do. You just couldn't go back there and just read the same scripts to the guys. We're just going to do it better, though, this week. No, right. You've got to change things, even if they don't mean anything. Music practice, all that. The music at practice doesn't win games, but it kind of puts the team in a the changes that you make and others and the way he ran practice kind of gives them an idea. Look, we're starting over, and really they are. Now, when you get into it, who's going to be the general manager? Who's going to be the head coach? What order do you hire those two in? And who actually, and there's some competition for the general managers. There are 4 teams now that are looking for general managers. Mm-hmm. So this is a very important period in this franchise's immediate history.
Yeah, Mike. So what group do you think benefits the most from Coach Bevel being the intern coach? Group, one of our groups, which group do you think benefits the most?
I think if you're a general manager looking for a job, I think experience means something. If you just look back and say, look, Bob Quinn had experience in personnel with the New England Patriots, but he wasn't a decision maker. Somebody like Rick Smith was at Houston for a long time, has that experience. He's made calls. He's done that before. I don't know if you want to break somebody in as a general manager who was somebody's next hot assistant GM or whatever. Yeah. I'm not putting the kibosh on any of those people. I'm just saying that's, to me, would be a way to think it through.
Do you think we see a different look from the defense without Matt Patricia in there? And again, this isn't a down with Patricia type thing, but Corey Unlum now gets to kind of run his own show. But those two had some pretty similar philosophies when it came to the game of football. And again, as I said earlier, I believe we're here, Mike, and I said this to you on Monday night because of the defense and what's happened over 3 years. They can't stop anybody, and you can't win like that. And if you don't win, you lose your job.
If you put the 3 seasons that Coach Patricia was here and just cut them into halves, there's no such thing as 6 halves, but right. The only half of a season that they were any good was the second half of his second season.
Snacks era.
The snacks era, yeah. And he had too many snacks the next year.
Yeah.
but they've been terrible ever since. And you can just see them, please rush the quarterback, blitz, do something. But I think he had the theory that, look, if we just do it better, coach it better, play it better, it'll work. It never worked, except for that one period of time.
I don't know what he can do that's different today because the personnel hasn't changed. And if anything, they're more beat up now than they have been. So he's got to figure out some way to deal with the guys that are out there and do it better. And this is probably, as the guys alluded to a couple of minutes ago, as good a test as anything because Trubisky, who has not been very good as an NFL player, has done nothing but throttle the Lions.
Well, if you want to talk about a meaningless statistic, it said he's got 10 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions. That doesn't matter. That's 4-0 in the last 4 games against the Detroit Lions, 12 touchdown passes and 1 interception. And what he did, what we're looking at right now on opening day, which really, look, one game, one play doesn't ruin a season, but you just look at something that tilted the floor the wrong way for the Detroit Lions is what happened on opening day.
Yeah. Do you expect to see a better Matthew Stafford with Coach Bevel now at the helm? What's your expectations of Matthew?
I don't think he'll run Adrian Peterson on 1st and 2nd down and start the game like he did the last 6 games, okay? I think so. I mean, look, Matthew really was dialed into that offense last year, the first half of the season when he got hurt. I mean, the figures bear it out. 2,499 yards passing, 19 touchdowns. I think it was 4 interceptions. It might have been 5. And he was just getting going right then. I mean, he was on his way to like 5,400 yards and 40 touchdowns and whatever. And I don't know how many more games they were going to win, but he was certainly holding up his end of the deal. This year, it's just never quite worked that way. And I don't think they're as good as they were offensively a year ago for whatever reason. They haven't been able to get their running back on the field and keep him on the field. They've had injuries. And it just hasn't been the same, and they're playing from behind.
Yeah. All right, Michael, good stuff. We appreciate it. We will check you out at DetroitLions.com, my friend.
Pleasure's mine, guys.
And we will see you on Monday night on Lions Review as well. There he is. Michael O'Hara joins us each and every week as we get you ready for the next Lions broadcast. Today they're in Chicago getting set to take on the Bears. More coming up. We're going to put the spotlight on Everson Griffin and put the spotlight on Frank Ragnow. Plus our chat with interim head coach Darryl Bevel. That's on the way as well. We're getting you ready for the Lions and Bears. This is Lions Radio.
Want to join in on the Lions game action from the comfort of your own home? Now's your chance with Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM. Available on the Detroit Lions app. Join in on the predictive game and be eligible to win cash prizes and future all-expenses-paid trips. For more games and Lions content, download the Lions mobile app today. Available on both iOS and Android. Go Lions!
Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app on your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk.
Hey, Lions fans. Want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR. Paul W. Smith Mornings.
For regular celebrities, there are two terrible days. There's the first day when they go out and everywhere they go, as they walk around, there are cameras shooting pictures of them. And the second worst day, it's even worse than the first day, is when they go out and there's no one there. And let's face it,
That is the truth. Listen to Paul W. Smith. Then stick around for Frank Beckman, Rush Limbaugh, Guy Gordon, and Mitch Albom. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk.
And never frozen. Check out RinaldiSausage.com for a local grocer near you and great recipe tips. Rinaldi Sausage, your link to good food and good times.
News Talk 760 WJR.
Once again, we welcome you back to the countdown with open arms here on Lions Radio. Coming up, part 2, your Detroit Lions this time around in Soldier Field to take on the 5-6 now Chicago Bears. My name is Steve Courtney. Happy to have you here with us as always. And it's time now for our player profile, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. It's a new day. Lo and behold, we're talking to him, Mr. Everson Griffin, joining us now, talking Lions football. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Just got done with some body work and, getting ready to go prepare to go, go play a good game on Sunday.
Well, Everson, so much to talk about, so little time. General Manager Bob Quinn, head coach Matt Patricia, shown the door. Have you ever been involved in a situation where there are changes in the midst of a season?
Yeah, my first year, Brad Childress, he got let go from the Vikings, and Coach Frazier took over as interim head coach, just like right now. Back in 2010, I think, that's when the first I got in the league. So, change, it could be good, it could be bad, but I think it's up to the players to, accept the change and go out there and learn the new techniques and learn the new gap defense. Me personally, I loved Coach Patricia. He was a good dude. He was a good-hearted dude. But at the end of the day, I don't make those calls. That's not my responsibility to make those calls. My job is to play defensive end and to do that at a high level. I don't worry about what goes on upstairs. The only thing I worry about is doing my job at a high level for my team. So whatever went on with that comes from upstairs. And our job down here in the locker room is to go out there and play good football for the Detroit Lions to win games. That's the number one thing.
Well, former offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell, we know Everson is going to be the interim head coach. That being said, Corey Unlin will continue to call the defensive plays. With Matt Patricia out of the picture, do you expect any difference schematic-wise with this Lions defense over the last 5 games?
I feel like we're just gonna get back to the basics, play fundamental football. Go out there, play one guy. Get lined up and do the right things. Make it simple. Make it easy for the guys so they can play fast and play with their hair on fire. I think that's the most important part. I think Bevel already has done a great job with the team of establishing his role with the players and, just telling exactly what he wants from us. He wants us to show out. He wants us to have fun, but he also wants us to be smart team. Don't do dumb penalties at the same time of the cost of having fun. Just do all the right things and go out there and win games. I feel the best way to win games is doing it together as a team. And, I'm happy to be on this team. I know the players are happy to have me. And, I think we have a great team here. And we got 5 games to go, and we got to go get these last 5, and it starts with Chicago this week.
Well, playing with your hair on fire is not going to be an issue for you, Everson. You've made a career on it, for crying out loud, already in your 11th season. I would like you to elaborate on a point that Coach Bevel made in his first Zoom call, and that is he'd like to see this team have fun. I'm sure there's a lot of folks, Everson, that heard that and said, football is a demanding game. It's a tough game. But I imagine, looking back a little bit, there is a way to be successful and have fun. That being said, if you're winning, the game is fun. Talk about having fun in this game of professional football.
Having fun comes with winning. When you're winning, you can have fun. When you're losing, it's not fun. So the more we win, the more fun it is. The more you lose, the more you got to get back to the drawing board and go execute the calls. The more you win, it's simple. Like my D-line coach say, Bo Davis, he always say, this is a simple man's game. The tackle only going to give me 3 blocks. He's going to give me a reach block, a cutoff, or he's going to give me a pass set. That's the only thing I'm going to get. So why do I need to go look at anything else? We just need to focus on our job. And what our job is to focus on that key of the pad for the D linemen, because that's all I know, and go out there and execute our call for our defense.
It's interesting, as rough as this season has gone from time to time, Everson, the fact of the matter is 4-7, 5 games left. As you look to the last 5 games collectively as a team, if you're an optimist, if you're a glasses half full guy, you still have some things left in your control, right?
Yeah, of course. And that's winning. That's what we have in our control. Going out there, going to practice. Going out there and practicing hard. At this point in week 12, guys are going to be a little banged up. But I feel like it is going out there and getting your foot in right, getting your hand placed in right. Going out there striking, getting off blocks, just working on the fundamental games of football, and then allowing that to show on Sundays. I think that's the most important part for our team. I think the attitude has to be, fun. It has to be fun, but at the same time, you have to do your job. And I think guys need to show their personalities. I think that we need to have fun, from celebrate for a touchdown, celebrate for an interception, celebrate for a tackle. I think it should just be a party every time we have the quarterback or every time we making a tackle. This game is meant to be played fun and with a purpose, and I think that's what we're going to bring.
As I mentioned earlier, Everson, you're in your 11th year. How different has it been dealing with COVID-19 throughout this National Football League year? And is it easier, do you think, dealing with it as a veteran of your stature?
No, I think the NFL, the Shield, I think they're doing a great job, holding everybody accountable. I think they're doing a great job with the protocols they put in place. Without the Shield, I don't think we would be able to play football. That's why we have the Shield, the NFL, and we have the NFLPA. I think they're doing a great job of making this thing roll. It's out of that. The COVID is out of our control. Our job is to play football. So at the end of the day, if you eliminate the COVID part of it and we just go play football, that's all we got to do. And the people that makes the shot callers, that's what they handle. Our job is to play football and stay safe and make sure we wear a mask and make sure you wash your hands and don't touch your nose too much and have fun.
All right, Everson. Up next, as we conclude our conversation, the Chicago Bears. They have issues of their own. They're sitting at 5-6. Opened up the 2020 campaign against them. Disappointing fourth quarter collapse leads to an opening loss. Offensively, Mitchell Trubisky under center there, Everson. David Montgomery, their fine young running back. He is on hand, 575 yards. He's only found the end zone once. What challenges does this Bears offense bring to you?
As I see right now, they're using Cordell Patterson a lot more at number 84. He's a big factor in the offense. They run tosses, 38 tosses. They run stretches with him. They run TBAs with him. So I feel like when 84 is in the game, we know that he's getting the ball. We got to make him one-dimensional. We got to stop the run. We got to put the game in Trubisky's hands. That's where we want the game to be. We want the game to be in his hands. So we got to stop the run. We got to stop Cordell, and we got to affect Trubisky often and early, and that's how we're going to win the game.
And knowing the way you play the game, Everson, I'm sure you'd like the opportunity to say hello to Mitchell Trubisky early and often.
Yeah, of course. I think our whole group wants to go, go out there and execute and go get some sacks. But it all starts with the run game. I think the run game is the most important part of football, and in the situational. For us to win these last 5 games, we have to be great holding on to the ball, and we got to be great taking away the ball. We got to get strips, we got to get interceptions, and the offense got to score points. And they got to hold on to the ball, and they got to be it's got to go back and forth. Special teams, they got to switch the field position, they got to get the ball out, and we got to get some kick returns to the house, punt returns to the house. So it's just certain things that we could do to improve each and every day, and I think we will do that. I think it's important for us to do that, and I think that we have the chance to do that. I think it's just up to the players to go out there and do it.
Last question, Everson. You're 32 years old. You've already had an illustrious National Football League career. You still enjoy playing this game. How much longer do you see yourself going?
Honestly, I see myself at least going if by the grace of God, I can see myself going another 5 to 7 years. I feel that good. I feel good. I've been blessed. Earlier in my career, I was behind some, future. He should be a Hall of Famer this year. Jared Allen, 126, 126 sacks. So I was fortunate when I was first growing up that I wasn't really playing full time. I wasn't in a full time role, so I was a rotational guy. So now this is I feel like this is really going into my 7th year of playing in the National Football League because I didn't really play full time in my first 4. So yeah, I have another good 5 to 7 years left in me, and I just want to have fun and win the Super Bowl. I think that's the number one thing that I'm after right now in my career is winning the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna empty the tank every single Sunday, and we got 5 more games to win, and I think that's the plan here.
Well, I'll tell you one thing right now, Everson. You win that Super Bowl here in Detroit, you ain't seen a party until that one. Let me just tell you that right now.
Yeah, but we got to go beat Chicago. We got to go beat Chicago, and then we got to worry about the next team after that. But we got to go stop the run and go stop 84, Cordell Patterson and Allen Robertson and guys like that. And, we got to go do our job at a high level.
Everson, great chatting with you. Again, certainly hope in the not too distant future to be sitting next to you. Thank you very much for your time. All the best to you and yours moving forward.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
All right. Everson Griffin with us here as we continue to count you down. Your Lions and, of course, those Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Darrell Bevell making his debut as the head coach. Stick around. More information on the way as we continue. This is the Detroit Lions Radio Network. Want to join in on the Lions game action from the comfort of your own home? Now's your chance with Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM. Available on the Detroit Lions app. Join in on the predictive game and be eligible to win cash prizes and future all-expenses-paid trips. For more games and Lions content, download the Lions mobile app today. Available on both iOS and Android. Go Lions!
Hey, Lions fans. Want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app on your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR. Paul W. Smith Mornings.
For regular celebrities, there are 2 terrible days. There's the first day when they go out, and everywhere they go, as they walk around, there are cameras shooting pictures of them. And the second worst day, that's even worse than the first day, is when they go out and there's no one there. And let's face it, that is the truth.
Listen to Paul W. Smith. Then stick around for Frank Beckman, Rush Limbaugh, Guy Gordon, and Mitch Albom. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. The 25K Workday Payday on WJR is your shot at $100 10 times each weekday between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just text the national keyword to 95819 for a chance to win. And if you get $100, you're in the running for 25K. Complete details and contest rules at WJR.com. The 25K Workday Payday on 760 WJR is sponsored by Wayne State University, where you're more than strong, you're warrior strong. The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR.
Welcome back. This is Lomas Brown here with Frank Ragnow, third-year center, our outstanding, and hopefully I'll be saying Pro Bowl center from Arkansas. Frank, first of all, I hope you and your family are doing well. How are you today?
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're doing well. I'm doing well. I'm healthy, and that's all you can really ask for.
Absolutely, Frank. Just to go back just a little bit, man, I know this past weekend wasn't the weekend that you expected. Did you get a chance to relax after Thanksgiving? And the biggest question is, did you have any wild game for Thanksgiving?
I did get a chance to relax. It was nice to be able to kind of decompress after obviously what we went through, and no wild game this year because of me playing a game. It's tough for me to prepare the wild game, so we just stuck with the traditional turkey.
Well, I'm quite sure that was good too, Frank.
Yeah.
So, Frank, just to get into it, man, with Coach Patricia and Bob Quinn being out, just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on the changes and just wanted to see how much attention will you pay to the new GM and search when it goes on.
Yeah, obviously, it's unfortunate reality of this business. We weren't able to produce and win enough games, and that's kind of just what happens. It's unfortunate, but one thing is that I'm a Detroit Lion, and things are moving forward. I'm excited for the future. I want to win ball games. I think we all want to win ball games around here. So I'm excited for the future, and I'll definitely be paying close attention to the new GM search and all that because I'm a Detroit Lion, and that means a lot to me,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, things change, but man, Coach Bevel, Darryl Bevel, how has it been? He seems to be energetic just listening to his press conferences. How's practice been?
Yeah, Coach Bevel, we work with him a lot on the offensive side of the ball, so it wasn't, I guess, necessarily caught off guard, but yeah, he has a lot of positive energy. A lot of flow, a lot of positive energy to him, and it's been good to have. He's excited for the opportunity, and he's kind of tried to really jolt a lot of energy to the team. And practices have been fast, they've been competitive, so it's been good to have the positive energy from him. That's for sure.
Frank, do you think any of the players take any of the responsibility about the changes being made? You think guys are kind of taking that personal?
I think you definitely should as a professional.
Yeah.
If you look at it, our job as players is to win games. So I don't know how you place the fault and who gets what percentage, but we obviously aren't executing as well to win games. So it's on everybody. That's for sure. And I think you definitely should.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. Getting to the Chicago game, man, tight game. The first game against Chicago, you guys ran the ball really well against them. What's your feelings after watching their defense? What's the challenge for the second time facing them?
Obviously, another great challenge. They're a really good defense.
Yes.
We're going to have our hands full. Obviously, they got a lot of guys. They're stout up front, just big players. And the names like Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks, we'll see if they're healthy. And then their linebackers can run coast to coast, and they play downhill. They're physical. So obviously a big test for us, and it'll be interesting to see how we step up to it.
I was talking to Big V a couple of weeks back, and I told him, man, how fortunate I was to get a chance to block for Barry Sanders. And now you getting a chance to block for Adrian Peterson, the definitely first ballot Hall of Famer. Man, how has it been blocking for AP?
Crazy, especially me, myself, being from Minnesota, growing up watching him play. And I had his jersey. My mom visited me a couple of weeks ago, and she brought this little 28 jersey that I used to wear. So it's pretty crazy being able to block for him. It's surreal. He's an unreal talent, and it's an honor.
And Frank, man, you guys have faced some of the best D lines in this league and have done well, I think, against some of the D-lines. Has that been something that you guys have taken a pride to, or you guys have thought about a lot in that offensive line room?
Offensive line, you don't get much recognition. You don't get much glory or whatnot, and that's kind of what we kind of have to keep doing. We just have to understand that there's a new challenge up next, and kind of keep our heads down and keep working and just keep on to the next.
Yeah, you're right. And Frank, man, I just want to tell you, man, it's, especially you being in the middle, man, it's been a lot of moving parts around you this year, but you seem to be steady. You seem to be hanging in there, and you seem to be getting those guys in the position, man. How has that been on you? Because, you've had a lot of different combinations of guards next to you.
Yeah, definitely. You develop a chemistry when it's the same five, for sure, right? You develop a chemistry and an understanding and a communication. So there's definitely been, if anything, it's forced me to be a better communicator, which will only make me better. But obviously, all these guys prepare like they're going to play, and we kind of prepare like anyone can be the starter, anyone could be one of the five. So that's kind of going into it, that makes it easier to be able to get these guys going. And I think for the most part, everything's been pretty good. Yeah, you're right.
And I talked to Kevin Glover, Pro Bowl center with the Lions, when I was back there. And, me and Kevin Glover, by him being at the center position, we had a different type of communication than me being at tackle. Do you and Taylor, do y'all communicate a lot on the field? We did a lot of pointing. That's how me and Kevin Glover communicated. What about you and Taylor?
Kind of the same. And Taylor's an extremely smart tackle and understands a lot of the things that's going on. So it's nice to have that, because a lot of things, I guess, are understood from him. So, but a lot of pointing and a lot of making sure that Jonah or whoever's right next to Taylor is relaying that message as well.
And my last name, I just wanted to touch up, man. Again, I told you my son is a big fisherman, man. And I've been seeing you on local commercials, doing everything for the wildlife, man. That's great. That is your passion, isn't it? And you're doing a lot with the state of Michigan as far as the wildlife and DNR and different agencies that deal with that, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm working with the Michigan Wildlife Council. I'm just extremely passionate about the outdoors. It's something I grew up in, something that's kind of been instilled in me since a kid, and I think it's just great for everyone. And you get away from this crazy world when you're in the outdoors, and I think it's really great for everybody.
Hey, man, again, man, you've been playing at an outstanding level, Frank, man. I hope they recognize that, you and Taylor, man, and good luck these last 5 games, and please stay healthy out there, Frank.
Thanks, Lomas. I appreciate you.
Take care. This is Lions Radio.
Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR. The 25K Workday Payday on WJR is your shot at $100 10 times each weekday between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just text the national keyword to 95819 for a chance to win. And if you get $100, you're in the running for 25K. Complete details and contest rules at WJR.com. The 25K Workday Payday on 760 WJR is sponsored by Wayne State University, where you're more than strong, you're warrior strong. The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR. Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app on your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR.
Want to join in on the Lions game action from the comfort of your own home? Now's your chance with Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM. Available on the Detroit Lions app. Join in on the predictive game and be eligible to win cash prizes and future all-expenses-paid trips. For more games and Lions content, download the Lions mobile app today. Available on both iOS and Android. Go Lions!
Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR.
Gas is there for you. Learn more at DTEEnergy.com. DTE.
Lions Radio 760 WJR.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Joining us now, Lions interim head coach Darrell Bevell as they get set to go against the Bears. This brought to you by DTE Energy. Coach, just let me get your thoughts as you get set to go here in game number 1 in this position, because I imagine this has been a crazy week leading up to this point.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week, just a whirlwind. Each day has passed by so quickly with just all the information that I'm trying to digest, all the things I'm trying to get done, trying to implement just a little bit of a new program. Schedules are different. So there's a lot of new things that I'm trying to focus on. And obviously we're focused on the Chicago Bears. And, we put those guys right in our sights, and we're excited and ready to play.
Big picture, you have said from the outset, this is an opportunity for you, but this is an opportunity for everybody in this organization. There's 5 games left in this season. There's a lot of football left.
A lot of football. That's what I explained to our guys. I just wanted them, I used the word perspective, and I talked to them a lot about perspective, but I wanted to make sure they knew the reality of our perspective and what we're looking at and where we stand. So I communicated that to them. And then the last part of that perspective was I told them that, hey, everybody's watching us. Everybody's going to be watching us these last 5 weeks, whether they're watching me, I'm taking this as a 5-week audition, or whether they're watching them, whether it's our scouting department, deciding that these guys going to be here next year. Other teams are deciding, hey, do we want to go get that guy? So there's so much to play for, and in all these situations, and I expect these guys to come out and be ready to go.
With the week being as fast-paced as it's been, we talked about this on the TV side. It's nice that you have a team that you've seen before and that you know pretty well in the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, that helps. Number one, it's a division opponent. Number two, we're familiar with the guys. And then since we haven't played them since week one, we're looking at the scheme, how much have they changed? They were coming off a bye last week. What kind of things did they want to implement and tendencies did they want to break? So from the starting point, though, you're at a better starting point than if you're playing somebody that you are not familiar with.
Even with their struggles, Coach, you look at that defense, it's terrific. And I know that catches your eye right away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't go any further than Khalil Mack, right there on the edge. Robert Quinn. I mean, I remember the first game that that was our major focus. They got Hicks in the middle. So it's a solid defense. Great in the secondary. They have the capabilities of playing outstanding. And so we got to go out there. We got to be able to match their intensity. Obviously, it starts up front. We got to block those guys, and we handle that. Then we'll be okay.
We've seen your offense at times this year be very explosive. It would seem the one missing thing has been that consistency where you feel good about it over 60 minutes. Where does that come from? What's the most important thing?
Yeah, I think it's continuing to stay in the moment. We've done a great job. There's been a lot of games. Obviously, we've come out and gotten the lead. We scored early. Then we've gotten up big as well. But I think it's continuing to stay in that moment, not relax and say, okay, start counting the minutes down. If this happens, just stay right there in the moment. And I always talk about 11 guys playing together as one. If we make a wrong decision and all 11 of us are on the same page with that decision, it'll be a good decision. We'll still be able to make a play out of it. But we got to stay consistent with that.
Defensively, this gives you an opportunity to kind of dip over to that side of the ball as well. You have said that this gives you the opportunity to add another set of eyes to that side of the ball. And above all, you have said that this works because of your relationship with Corey Onlin.
Yeah, I think that was really important from day one when he got here. It was really fun to be able to sit with him, say, hey, here's what's coming up. Here's what's coming up. Here's what's going to be next. And just to build a friendship and a relationship that way. And, then we had nights we just sitting there talking ball and like, this is what I like. This is what I like. Hey, this is really hard for us. This is hard for you. That kind of back and forth. So I feel like we're at a really good spot. I feel like we can communicate clearly. He's really good in terms of the X's and O's and what he wants to get done. And then saying, hey, there's still going to be some growing pains here because we're going to change this or change that. And I'm going to do this, but this could happen. And I'll make sure I get that cleaned up. But we need to see this first. So that communication has been really good. And I'm fired up to see him and the defensive staff go this weekend.
Hey, final thing, Coach. There is a phrase that you've used a number of times this week. And now I'm hearing the same phrase from your players. You've asked them to play with their hair on fire. And that's what you're looking for. Just define that in the Darrell Bevell world. What does it look like when a guy's playing with his hair on fire?
Yeah, I think it's just flying around, having fun, like a bunch of crazy dogs coming off the top rope. I think that's something you can, that you can draw a picture in your mind from. And, I just want to be able to have fun, have a great time playing football, playing for one another. And, there should be energy, should be effort, just flying around the football field.
Coach, great stuff. Good luck out there.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
All right, there he is, Lions interim head coach Darrell Bevell, as they get set to go against the Bears. We're counting you down to kickoff. Stick with us. This is the Detroit Lions Radio Network.
Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR. Work can be anywhere these days, and nobody does anywhere like Detroit's WJR. Listen on your radio at 760 AM. Stream us at WJR.com or on your phone with the WJR app. Hear us on Alexa and Google Home smart speakers or with the TuneIn app. On your radio smart speaker, your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. You can listen anywhere because WJR is everywhere. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Paul W. Smith Mornings.
For regular celebrities, there are two terrible days. There's the first day when they go out, and everywhere they go, as they walk around, there are cameras shooting pictures of them. And the second worst day, it's even worse than the first day, is when they go out and there's no one there. And let's face it, that is the truth.
Listen to Paul W. Smith. Then stick around for Frank Beckman, Rush Limbaugh, Guy Gordon, and Mitch Albom. 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk.
Hey, Lions fans, want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR.
Make sure you visit DetroitLions.com for the latest Lions news, analysis, access, and more. Lions insider Tim Twentyman, along with Lions columnist Mike O'Hara, break down every aspect of today's game and the Lions' next opponent. That's only at the official online home of your Lions, DetroitLions.com.
Want to join in on the Lions game action from the comfort of your own home? Now's your chance with Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM. Available on the Detroit Lions app. Join in on the predicted game and be eligible to win cash prizes and future all-expenses-paid trips. For more games and Lions content, download the Lions mobile app today. Available on both iOS and Android. Go Lions!
After the game, come back to WJR for Paul W. Smith Mornings. Frank Beckman, 9 to noon. Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3. Guy Gordon from 3 to 5. And Mitch Albom, 5 to 7. After dark, it's Mark Levin and Michael Savage. Throw in the Lions and Michigan State football and basketball. With apologies to the Detroit Tigers, this is Detroit's best lineup. News Talk 760 WJR, where Detroit comes to talk. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR. Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Lions and Bears coming up. We're counting you down to kickoff here. Time now for our NFL Insider, brought to you by Merrill Edge Self-Directed. Joining us now, Justin Rogers from the Detroit News. Covers the Lions on a daily basis. Jay Raj in Chicago. Good afternoon to you. Or good morning to you, my friend. How you doing?
Just trying to deal with Kyle Meinke over here. He's dying. They're not serving him food until halftime. It's a disaster in Chicago already.
The traveling band of beat writers is a story unto itself. These guys are fun, though. No food till halftime?
I know.
That's going to cause an uproar in the press box.
I know. We don't eat breakfast before games. What is this? Clown show?
Exactly. You're showing up with a purpose, and that you want to eat with your hair on fire, like Bev told you to.
I know. I'm thinking, what did I walk to the stadium 3 miles this morning for? What a bad decision.
Hey, Justin, listen, there's a lot going on with this football team right now, and there is the future, there is the present. Let's start with the future. There are names that are going to be thrown around for the Lions. The one that comes out this morning from Jason LaCanfora is Jerry Reese, the former Giants general manager, whom Lomas knows from his days with the Giants, that he could be a candidate for the Lions, getting pushed from the league office, getting pushed from people around the Ford family. I don't imagine this will be the last name that we will hear for the Lions by a long shot.
No, I think you want to get out some of those names that are, currently not employed, that you can get some interviews in early. But this is going to be a lengthy process, and really won't take shape until January and probably even mid-January, when some of those top level candidates for that are currently employed by teams that are the next guys in line can get their shot to interview. So to be talking about realistic candidates or contenders right now, it's probably pretty premature.
Yeah, J-Rod, I know you said that, or I know we say that Coach said he wants these guys to play with their hair on fire. But what do you think you will see differently from a Coach Bevell coach team? What are you looking for differently?
I think in general you're going to see a lighter mood. I think the one thing that with Patricia and his, I guess, coaching style was maybe it had guys a little bit on edge. And we've talked about this going back to the difference between Caldwell and Patricia and how loose those guys played in late games under Caldwell and were able to finish games. And they always seem to be tight and stiff in those closing moments, in those clutch moments, during the Patricia era. And I think we're going to go back to seeing, I guess, a looser football team. In terms of schematics, we really don't know. I guess we're waiting and seeing. And, one of the things I'm really interested to see is, will the offense open up? I think there was a very conservative approach to their offensive game plan week to week to week. And, I want to see if, maybe the reins are off Bevell a little bit and there's a little bit more overall aggression in their approach with their run pass balance.
Now, could you see that on both sides of the ball? Do you anticipate that maybe, look, Unlin and Patricia had very similar philosophies, but do you anticipate that on that side of the ball, 5 games to go and seeing what you've seen so far, that maybe we see something different there as well?
Yeah, it's a lot tougher to project with Corey, because, this is his first coordinator stop. And you talk about similar philosophies, but very different backgrounds. Unlin left New England and did a lot of different things where, Patricia stayed and was groomed only in that system. So, he made mention that you can't overhaul a scheme in 3 days, and that's obvious. The Lions tried to do it a little bit with Jim Bob Cooter a couple of years ago, and he took over for Lombardi midseason. But, could you see a little bit more, unleashing of the dogs, a little bit more of a pressure package look? Sure. But again, it's a great unknown. We just don't know. And even what we were able to see in practice this week was limited largely to special teams. They're keeping all that stuff under wraps. And I guess that's the element of surprise they have going into this one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, to be sure. Hey, we're going to get to the keys to the game in just a second, but let me hit you with this before we leave it, because it's going to be behind us pretty soon, and we'll be looking forward. USA Today style, hit me with a blurb. If I was to say to you, Patricia, Quinn, gone, why didn't it work?
Not enough talent, and a little bit too much committed to philosophy over talent. Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that's where you end up right now with what you're ending up with, which is a team that's searching for a new GM and a new head coach. Justin Rogers with us from the Detroit News. Let's get to the keys to the game today as the Lions get set to take on the Chicago Bears in NFC North battle. Both these teams really struggling coming in. Bears have lost 5 in a row. Lions have lost 4 out of 5. So with all that said, Justin, 1 or 2 things early in this game that you're looking for that might indicate to you how it's going.
Well, Mitch Trubisky obviously has had a very checkered career here in Chicago, but for whatever reason, he has just torched the Lions. I mean, his QB rating in the matchups against Detroit is staggering compared to the rest of his career. And, we all witnessed the fourth quarter comeback he had last time. So they've really got to find a way to make sure they keep him in check. I don't think this is going to be a particularly high-scoring affair, so you can't let Trubisky beat you.
Yeah, J-Rod, I agree with you. I had in here, we have to rough up Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think the Lions have roughed this guy up, so he has to be roughed up. But the other thing I think for us is we have to get a consistent run game, even without Deandre Swift. If he's not in there, I just think you're going to have to keep the balance. I don't want us to put it all in Matthew's hand. I'm still afraid of that defense for the Chicago Bears, them getting pressure on Matthew, them getting hits on Matthew. So I just think the best thing for us to do is to have a consistent run game that we can lean on during this game.
I think you always want a consistent run game. I think the problem with the Lions is they haven't had the ability to use the run to set up the pass, and you have to look at it the other way around. There's so many teams that are doing that now. Use the pass to set up the run. So that's, I think, where we talk about the run pass balance and the conservative nature. Don't get into a game where you're running it on 1st and 2nd down over and over and over again and getting into these 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10 situations. Set the pass up. You use some downfield action and create less defenders in the box to successfully run with Peterson, Kerryon Johnson, and maybe even Jonathan Williams.
J. Raj, good stuff, my friend. We appreciate it as always. We will look for you in the Detroit News and DebtNews.com as you cover this one and cover the Lions throughout the week and cover what I know you're really looking forward to, a head coach and general manager search.
Covered more than playoff wins, unfortunately.
That's what you're looking to change, no doubt about it. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Look forward to seeing you.
All right, you too, Justin Rogers. Look forward to seeing anybody these days. Justin Rogers out there covering the team, hungry, waiting for halftime to get some food.
Oh, man, that's miserable, isn't it?
I can't tell you how against the grain that is.
I know, especially for a big fella like me, too.
But you always have snacks.
That's true. You see that, but that's the key for a big fella. You got to keep snacks on you, Dan.
Take a break. Come right back. Starting lineups on the way. This is Lions Radio.
Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR. The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR.
Hey, Lions fans. Want to be at Ford Field for every home game this season? You still can. Show your Lions pride with a custom fan cutout. All proceeds benefiting Detroit Lions charities. For more information or to purchase, visit DetroitLions.com/cutouts. Go Lions!
Want to join in on the Lions game action from the comfort of your own home? Now's your chance with Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM. Available on the Detroit Lions app. Join in on the predictive game and be eligible to win cash prizes and future all-expenses-paid trips. For more games and Lions content, download the Lions mobile app today. Available on both iOS and Android. Go Lions!
The 25K Workday Payday on WJR is your shot at $100 10 times each weekday between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just text the national keyword to 95819 for a chance to win. And if you get $100, you're in the running for 25K. Complete details and contest rules at WJR.com. The 25K Workday Payday on 760 WJR is sponsored by Wayne State University, where you're more than strong, you're warrior strong. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and Mitch Albom talk about today's game tomorrow afternoon at 5:35 on 760 WJR. Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR. The Lions get a second shot at the Green Bay Packers next Sunday at 4:25 on Lions Radio 760 WJR.
Casino and Resort. It's a new day. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com.
News Talk 760 WJR.
Hi, welcome back, everybody. Today's Inactive List is brought to you by the Oxford Recovery Center, where healing begins. For the Lions, your inactives, backup quarterback David Blau. Unfortunately, it gets much tougher after that. Kenny Galladay out, Jeff Okudah out, Deandre Swift out, Deshaun Hand out, Austin Bryant out. Lo, that's a lot of guys they count on both sides of the ball.
Especially in the secondary, too. And that's an area that we got a lot of young guys back there. We got inexperienced guys back there. And we were talking about Mitchell Trubisky, who loves playing against the Lions.
He does, no question about it. There was some question about a couple of the Bears' big-time guys up front in Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks. They're both active and ready to play today, so you are going to have to find some way to handle them.
Yes, you are. And then believe me, they're upset about the way they played against Green Bay. They talked about it to the media this week. So the Lions are going to have to be ready from snap one.
All right, and that starts with the guys up front. Taylor Decker at one tackle position, Terrell Crosby at the other, Jonah Jackson, Oday Abushi at the guards, Frank Ragnow at the center. Look, 5 games left, chance to find some consistency, get that running game going, and job one today, handle a very good defensive front for Chicago.
That's where it's going to start and stop at for the Lions today. You're right. Akeem Hicks, he's back today. Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn didn't play against us in the first game. So you're right. The line is going to have their work cut out for them. But, Dan, I do think you get the run game going. That's just going to help everybody on offense.
Starting lineups brought to you by Wigley's famous Eastern Market corned beef. Remember to ask, is it Wigley's? For the Lions at wide receiver today, we'll see Mohamed Sanu with Kenny Galladay out. Also, Danny Amendola is back. Marvin Jones in there. Marvin Hall released by the team, so he is gone. Quintez Cephas, Jamal Agnew, you'll see those guys. And look, Hall was their deep threat guy. Somebody else has to step up and make some plays for this team now.
Shocked by that one. I was really shocked by his release. But now, my guy who I liked during training camp, Quintez Cephas, I just want to see him get a good opportunity. I just want to see what this young man can do because of what he did during training camp. We just hadn't seen a lot.
Yeah, another guy that I'm looking forward to seeing today in a backup role, T.J. Hawkinson will obviously be your starter at tight end, is Hunter Bryant, who looked terrific in camp.
Yes.
I don't know how much run he'll get today, but he's a guy that hasn't been able to stay healthy. But, man, when he was in camp, runs like a wide receiver and catches anything near him.
I agree with you. I would rather see him than Jesse. Jesse hadn't been able to do the things we thought that he could do for this team. So, yeah, give a young fella an opportunity.
Matthew Stafford was questionable, but he's going to play. He'll be out there. Quarterback Adrian Peterson. He'll be one of the running backs along with Kerryon Johnson. We'll see Jonathan Williams, we would assume, in there as well. All right, for the Bears, or the Lions on defense, I should say, Everson Griffin and Romeo Okwara are the ends. Nick Williams, John Pennicini in the middle. Again, no Hand, no Bryant. You brought Strong up. So, again, those guys are really going to be asked a lot up front.
Yes, they are. And again, I don't think Chicago's offensive line is playing that well. So I do look for our defense to have some success, especially along the line of scrimmage against that Chicago Bear offense.
Bears offensive line is beat up and has been beat up this season. Christian Jones, Reggie Ragland, Jamie Collins Sr. are the linebackers. And at the cornerback position today, you will see Justin Coleman, you'll see Amani Oruwariye, you'll see Mike Ford in there. Those are the guys that you'll see the most of at the corner spot with Jeff Okudah out.
Yes, and it's going to be tough. It really is. So, Dan, even more, we need our front seven to get pressure on Mitchell. You don't want to have those guys on the island for a long time.
Safety, got a new father out there, Tracy Walker, Deron Harmon, also one of the safeties. You'll see a lot of J-Ron Curse in there as well for the Lions today. And Allen Robinson, the main guy you got to keep an eye on for Chicago, local product and a terrific football player at wide receiver. Take a break. Come right back. Kickoff is next. Here we go. Lions, Bears on the way. This is the Detroit Lions Radio Network.
Michigan State basketball travels to 15th ranked Virginia Wednesday on Spartans Radio 760 WJR.
Make sure you visit DetroitLions.com for the latest Lions news, analysis, access, and more. Lions insider Tim Twentyman, along with Lions columnist Mike O'Hara, break down every aspect of today's game and the Lions' next opponent. That's only at the official online home of your Lions, DetroitLions.com.
Paul W. Smith Mornings.
For regular celebrities,